Welcome to the panel, y'all. This was probably the best weekend of basketball I've ever experienced. Right, Swiper? This was a good weekend, right?
It was cool.
Hey, Swipe. Swipe, what up, brother?
Went to a dinner. I went and played karaoke. Hey, Ox, let me tell you, bro. Hey, I put on that Boys in the Hood by Eazy-E. Ron, you know what I'm talking about? Woke up quick at about noon. Just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. I gotta get drunk before the day begin. For my mother start about my friend. I'm about to go and dang near went blind. Chill, this your song. This your song, Chill.
Boys in the Hood.
This is when you had that high top fade
with the hook part, with the hook part in it.
Exactly. I had a good weekend.
Yes,
went to dinner, went to a cookout yesterday for Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Everybody that either has a mother, doesn't have a mother, or missing a mother. At this point in time, definitely everybody got some stuff going on with their family. It was a great weekend for me, man. Somebody already said it. OVO, said OVO. That's crazy. Where you at though? But I got you.
Yeah, sounds like Swiper had the time of his life this weekend. Yo, my man Penn is in the house again. What's up?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling a lot better after that. Even up the series for the Nuggets.
Okay, and we definitely need to hear your predictions for all of these series and what you got going on. We got to catch up. Chilling Mars. How you guys doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah, y'all running good.
Running good, brother. Playoff basketball. This is what it is.
Okay.
Draft lottery. This is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Miles, what did y'all end up with? The number 3 pick, I think?
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
Wonderful. I told you that Brooklyn pick, and he's like, nah, I'm trying to fleece the Nets for giving them that pick back. They could have the 3rd pick. But nah, they didn't want that, apparently.
They still could.
Nah, we good now.
Y'all straight? Okay.
Yeah, we good now.
All right. Well, I mean, y'all know we got a couple games we got to talk about from Saturday and Sunday. We got some good games tonight. We also got to talk about the NBA draft lottery too. It's going to be a jam-packed show. My man Big Ox tapping in. Yo, Penn, can we get just a breakdown of what you've been seeing in the playoffs and what's your finals predictions?
Well, I thought that a lot of what people were saying about Minnesota after those first 2 games was a little bit overblown. If you look at like the tape, you saw a lot of self-implosion by the Denver Nuggets. And suddenly I'm hearing Naz Reid can stop a 3-time MVP. Like, I'm like, can we stop with a hot take culture? Can we stop being so crazy? And Anthony Edwards has been an emergence. I think rim defense and rim pressure has been a huge thing. Shot making, Jamal Murray, and the Indiana Pacers might become the worst team to ever make a conference finals in world history. That's what I'm seeing.
I don't know the
Hawks. Hey, it was
how much better?
It was long lived. It was fun while it lasted, my man. We're gonna catch up with you next time. All right.
Well, you're buying the Pacers hype right now for real?
Just so you know, the Pacers wasn't.
He bought the Pacers hype 6 months ago.
Yeah,
look, I like the Pacers 6 months ago. I liked the Pacers 6 months ago. They changed up. They switched up. They changed a lot of good things about them. And Tyrese Haliburton is hurt. I mean, he's playing a lot better though lately. Look, I think they got real lucky. Luck is always going to be a part of the playoffs. They got lucky in the first round. Right now, they're playing a team that I don't think they're going to beat the Knicks. I know they mopped the floor with them yesterday, but I don't think they're going to beat the Knicks.
I don't either.
Like you see all those jump shots being short. There was 42-hour turnaround between those 2 games, right? And to me, it's like in game 3, there was a lot of talk, no OG. They're like, are you guys just going to lay an egg? And the Knicks were like, nah, fuck that. We're not going to lay an egg. We're going to come out and fight. I think sometimes you just have to live to fight another day. I mean, you got 50 hours between game 4 and game 5. You're going back home. You're going to the Garden. I personally think like the Indiana Pacers, sometimes it feels like this team is just, the moment is too big. They haven't been there. I mean, you're in the Garden, you're seeing Stephon Marbury, you're seeing like all the celebrities, you're seeing the bright lights, you're playing in the Mecca of basketball. They had game 1. Be for real. They had game 1. They blew it, right? Like, I'm not sure. If they win whoever wins game 5 has got the series, in my opinion. But I don't think they're going to win in the Garden in game 5. I think they might be feeling themselves a little bit.
It's expected though, Ron. I mean, when you're as shorthanded as the Knicks are, and as good as Indiana's offense is, and as good as it's been all season, it's expected that one of these games was going to happen. I was expecting this ass kicking at some point during this series. I don't know.
No, you
didn't know
were
when.
not.
Yes, I was. I was expecting this.
Don't chill.
Yes,
Do
I
not
was.
come
I
in
was
here.
expecting-
You said Knicks in 5. So you were expecting the Knicks to win 4 games, and then them to get their backs blown out for one.
Yes, I was expecting one of I was expecting one of these games, considering how. And I'm not sure if they could beat them without OG. I'm not sure if they can do it, and I don't think OG is going to be playing for the rest of the series. I think that hamstring injury is way worse. The defender that he is, the one-on-one player that he is, that extra guy that Jalen Brunson didn't have. The fact that he's now out of the lineup, that means that these dudes now have to do even more than what they've already done. I can appreciate the turnover of less than a day and a half, or a little bit more than a day and a half, having to get back out there with how beat up they are. But they've been doing that all. They've been doing that all season in terms of these guys being beat up. I mean, that's the Tibbs way. With that being said, if OG isn't playing, I don't think that the Knicks can beat these dudes. If we could get OG back in the lineup, I think that the Knicks could beat them.
The Knicks are 25-6 with OG. Without OG, they're 13-15.
Aren't they 25-25? Aren't they 25-5?
25-6.
25-5, 25-6, 26-5, one of those. But the point still remains they're 13-5 or 13-15 without OG.
Right.
They're just not a good team without OG. They lack the depth because Tom Thibodeau doesn't want to play these other guys that many minutes. And now all of a sudden, Precious Achiuwa has to play 40-plus minutes. Now all of a sudden, Alec Burks, who I believe is a good player, but he just hasn't played all season. Now he got to play 40 minutes, 30-something minutes. It's a whole different dynamic without the defense that OG brings, without the floor spacing, without him running the court, without him cutting, filling the lanes and all of that. It's a big drop off. And
Jalen Brunson still the best player in this series?
I'm glad you asked that.
Ron didn't have him as the best player before the series. So
I'm glad you asked that. Because after game one, it looked like it was clear, no doubt about it, that Jalen Brunson was going to run away as the best player in the series. The last 3 games, he hasn't looked like he's been the best player on the floor.
Who has been, Ron?
TJ McConnell. That I told
TJ McConnell.
He ain't even been.
Shout out to TJ because he's for sure been top 5 in this series, maybe top 4.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a guy that I told I was front running about, Swiper. I told
don't say Pascal Siakam.
I told he was hurt. I was told he was this. I was told he was soft. I was told he wasn't going to show up. I was told he wasn't built for this. Hey, the same guy who earlier in the season, guys like this clown right here told me that he was a front runner, and it wasn't all of that. Guys told me he couldn't play defense. Guys told me he wasn't ready for this. He needed to be aggressive. Dante DiVincenzo was locking him up. They was going to put him in the box. The big bad bully Knicks were going to shut him down.
Oh my God! I hate when shit like this happens, man.
There's a couple more games left.
It's just not even what it looks like.
Now it's not what it looks like. Chill.
Now, bro,
chill.
okay,
Now
bro,
it's not what it looks like.
You said, now let me say this. I showed throughout the season, I showed Tyrese Halliburton nothing but love. I've always respected Tyrese Halliburton. I said that you're hyping him. You're trying to make him a top 3 point guard and all that. I'm like, that's going too far. He's a good player, but you're going too far. That's what I said. Then I watched the playoffs, and I'm watching this happen. I'm watching Tyrese Halliburton get boxed up. I'm watching Tyrese Halliburton. I'm watching him look terrible. And when I say that I'm seeing this, there's nothing you can say because it's all true. But now when it's something different, you come throw it back in my face like I'm talking, like I'm lying. I'm just reporting what I'm looking at.
Okay, so report. No, now report. Now report. You're on the big screen. Report. What's he looking like now? Don't start coughing. Don't start backpedaling. What's he looking like now?
Coughing this whole time, bro.
What's he looking like now?
He's looking better.
Oh, now he's looking better. He's looking all right.
But what I want you to also say is like this, and I don't want you. This is not an excuse for any loss.
No, they're hurt. They're hurt.
But come on, bro. OG's not there, and it's different. Like OG is not there. And
they're missing 3 starters. It's not just OG. They're missing 3 starters.
I only want to speak about OG. I said to Chill earlier on Saturday. They don't need all those guys. Like to beat the Pacers, they don't need Julius. They don't need OG. They don't need Julius, Mitch, and OG. They just need one of them. If they just had OG, it would be way different. And that's what I'm saying. Like the Pacers are not that. Whoever said that earlier, that's a fact, bro. Like this Pacers team is not a conference finals basketball team.
With that being said,
I wasn't lying or hating around. I was speaking what I seen, bro. I was telling the truth.
With that being said, this isn't something that we haven't seen before. It's not like we haven't got to the postseason, which this is 9 months into the season, 8 months into a grueling season of dudes playing 48 minutes night in, or not 48 minutes. It's only one Tom Thibodeau, but playing 30-minute games, high intensity basketball, this, that, and the third, going through injuries and knick-knack, ailments with their bodies. And you get to the playoffs and you start to break down. This isn't the first time.
You had it right. You had it right. 48 minutes. 48 minutes of basketball. Is Tom Thibodeau stupid?
Yes, he absolutely is. And this is 100%.
What's up?
He's not stupid. This has been his
100%
methodology, though.
Just because you've been doing dumb shit for 50 years doesn't mean it's not.
But we saw this in 2012, though. Nothing's changed. Like this is the same thing with D Rose at the end of that game. Like
and that's exactly my point. So I feel like what's up with dude? Like is somebody gonna talk to him? Like yo, Tom, you got a bench.
It's too late.
He won a coach of the year doing this 3 years ago? 3 years ago still? What it?
Yes, 2021.
Brown, Monty, Thibodeau. Yeah, I'm not changing.
I hear a lot of people saying he ruined Derrick Rose. It's not really Derrick Rose that he ruined, because I think Derrick Rose had a gait that was very flimsy in terms of how he landed and how he walked, and I think he was a walking injury. But I think it was like when you want to see who he ruined, you look at a career of Luol Deng. You look at a career of Joakim Noah. Where did those guys, where were they? They were like peaking out as like really solid players, and they were just done after 30. Like done.
Keep going, because OG finna be on that list. Josh Hart.
OG has a light minute load, bro. Like, I mean, I know he played under Nick Nurse, but he plays like 55 games a year.
Are we really sitting here talking about Tibbs playing guys minutes when I was watching in 2000s, when I was watching Kobe Bryant and Shaq play 40 minutes in the damn playoffs, when I was watching years ago?
The game was slower. The game was slower.
What different? Let's just
it makes a huge difference because more possessions.
The fact that the game is slower, I'm still on the floor. I'm still on the floor for 42 minutes. I'm still getting banged around for 43 minutes. Even if we walking the ball up the floor, I'm still getting hit.
Yeah, but chill, just to be fair.
That is the difference. If you're playing 42 minutes and the game has, let's say, 88 possessions, compared to today, you're playing 44 minutes in a game that has 97 possessions.
Right.
You're playing, like, you might be playing the same amount of minutes, but you're doing more. You're getting up and down the court more. You're having to cut more. You're having to change direction more. That's why it's taking a toll on these players' bodies now more than ever.
Look, you got to look at distance traveled. Like you got to look at like how much guys are actually moving around on the court defensively and offensively. Like it's like if I just flash to a game from the 1990s, I'm seeing 2-3 guys in the paint. I see one guy popping up at the key for the jump shot, 2 guys standing still, maybe 1 guy's cutting. Now it's like, look at the Sacramento Kings playing. That's toll. And every time you change possessions, every time you change ends, that's more toll. Mm-hmm. Nice. I like it. So what I'm saying is like, that's an increased toll. And now you're adding the physicality back to the NBA. And now guys are getting mugged. Like what's happening to Luka with Lou Dort right now. So you're taking all the worst parts of both sides. I mean, these guys would be dead tomorrow. You know, this is not sustainable. And the NBA will find out real soon.
So if Chamberlain played for Tom Thibodeau, he'd be averaging 60. Because he ain't coming out the game playing for Thibodeau.
Yeah, but just to be clear,
Will Chamberlain didn't come out of the game anyway.
He played 48 and a half minutes that year. Bill Russell won the MVP because of overtime and all that stuff. Yeah, sure, no problem. I would do that also if I was playing against Wally Mick Johnson, who also worked at the steel mill during the day. So yeah, no problem. I can do that. No, I'm not even
plumbers and firemen argument.
They had other jobs during the season, chill. I'm not even trolling.
I ain't doing all that. I just know 48 and a half minutes a game playing 130 possessions, that needs to be applauded. That's insane. Shout out to Will Chamberlain for being able to do that. There's not one player ever who can play 130 possessions every night. He played like, I want to say 80 games that year too. So like,
by the way,
and he kept working out after the game, chill.
The reason why he didn't, and we're going to get right back to this, Ron. The reason why he didn't play every minute of every game, that overtime game you talked about, he got thrown out of that game with 7 minutes left. That's why he didn't play, because he got thrown out for fighting. Otherwise, he would have played every minute of every game during that season. But back to Tom Thibodeau.
Chill. He dropped the dude.
That's what happened. He got thrown out of the game for fighting. Yeah,
But Chamberlain could do everything.
Who did he hit?
He got thrown out of the game for fighting.
Did he hit a black player or a white player, Chill?
I forgot who the guy. It wasn't really like punches thrown more than it was shoving, and he ended up getting tossed. But the point is Tibbs.
Will Chamberlain, a revolutionary in the 1960s, Chill. We need to have more discussions about him.
We do, 100%. We do. If you think about Tibbs's rotations, Tibbs has always been like this when he was in Chicago, and he's almost got that Pat Riley mentality where I'm gonna ride the guys who got me here, and if I'm gonna ride with the guys who got me here. We're winning it or we're losing it with those guys. Now, does he have a bench that's suitable to relieve Josh Hart for minutes? Yes, he does. But the problem is that the way that they play, that's not sustainable for those other guys. Like Shake Milton can't come in for Josh Hart and give them something similar to what Josh Hart gives them. Miles McBride, when he comes in the game, he gives them something similar to what they're missing at the 2-guard spot. But this team, the 7-8 guys that he has, the way that they play, those guys behind him don't play like that.
That sounds like a bad coach to me, Chilton.
Yeah, but
that sounds like a terrible coach to me. If I can't play you because I don't know how to play you, right, I'm a bad coach. If I'm subbing 2 of my offensive rebounding dogs off, now I got 2 shooters. Okay, I got to run different sets with these dudes. If I can't play a different style of play throughout a season, let alone throughout a game, weekend, then I'm just not cut out for this. I'm not meant to have this job. I should be somebody's assistant defensive coordinator or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I won't argue that. A step back. I won't argue that.
And chill, like you said, that's what the regular season's for. Figure out how to use these guys. That's why you play them more during the season.
Right. Absolutely.
You gotta remember, he's missing 3 members of his
3 of them. Not 2.
But even during the regular season, he wasn't even playing. What's his name?
He's playing as 7
from Detroit.
Alec Burks. He's
playing other guy.
Quentin Grimes.
Yeah. No.
But Bojan. Which one?
Bojan. Yeah, he wasn't even playing Bojan like that during the regular season. But go proceed.
But I think he's running, let's say, a 7-man rotation. Last game doesn't count. He just gave everyone a rest because they were getting cooked. So, he's playing like a 7-man rotation. Like, one other player might get like a couple minutes here and there, but a 7-man rotation. He wouldn't be running a 7-man rotation if he had Randall, Robinson, and OG in every game. Because Miles McBride would still get minutes. Like, undoubtedly, he would still get minutes. So, and most teams in the playoffs run about a 9-man rotation. So, Tom Thibodeau, and the reason Josh Hart's minutes went up is because OG started missing time and Julius Randle went down. So Josh Hart's workload just went up tenfold. He wasn't playing Josh Hart 40 minutes a game all year long. It started around January, February, and his minutes just stayed that level for the whole year. So some of it is he runs players into the ground, and then because of that, the guys now have to play more minutes. But also, he's also playing guys more minutes because there's other guys who aren't available. So it just kind of comes full circle with Thibodeau. He's kind of hurting himself. And then because he's hurt himself, he's now trying to play the best players more. And then they end up getting hurt. And then now you're in this situation.
Well, what is he supposed to... Miles,
he's not going to play Mamadi Diakate. What's his name? Sorry, no disrespect to him. He's not going to start playing him in the playoffs. That's not about to happen. So who's he meant to go to? Who is he meant to go to on his bench? You might say, these guys need to play. Bojan's out. Bojan's injured too. That's another player of their quote-unquote rotation who's missing. So who's he meant to go to right now? Shake Milton?
Jericho Sims,
come on,
Shake Milton.
Those guys aren't getting playoff minutes anywhere else.
Shake Milton's not that bad, though.
They're not getting playoff minutes elsewhere.
It's not that he's a bad player, Ron. It's not that he's a bad player.
Mamadi Diakate, by the way.
Yes, I didn't mean to disrespect him. Shout out to him.
It's not that he's a bad player. What we talked about before, Ron, we talked about the regular season. The way that these guys play, I don't think that's really conducive. And Ox, you just talked about the bringing shooters on the floor. Tibbs' offense has always been deficient. They don't really run a lot of sets. A lot of that stuff at the end of the day, usually ends up at the end of possessions, usually ends up in Jalen Brunson's hands. Now, when Julius Randle is on the floor, it'll end up in his hands. But it's not like they really run a lot of action like Denver does, like Minnesota does. They don't really run a lot of action. It'll be get the ball to Jalen Brunson or get the ball to Julius Randle, whether it's in transition or in the half court in the mid post. Get him the ball and let him rock. That's ultimately what it is.
So, Mars, what you said, that's a good point. So unheard of guys, some of these guys I don't know. But there are guys on that bench that you have to find a couple minutes for. You don't have to play these dudes 16 minutes, 18 minutes a game. I'm not saying that, but you got to find some type of minutes for some of these guys to relieve them. You're not going to win a championship playing 7 guys. Even if you got guys hurt, that's just part of the game. So you got to find some type of minutes, some way to rest some of these guys, bro. And I seen somebody in the chat, and if I did say that, I was wrong. I don't mean to say that Tibbs is a bad coach. What I meant to say was that if you're doing these type of things, I'm going to assume that's bad coaching. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's bad coaching if you can't strategize with more than one style or play with more than one type of player. That's what I mean. I'm not saying Tibbs is a bad coach, but I think that's a sign of being a bad coach. But right. You got to find some type of minutes for these dudes, bro. They're going to break down. And it's happening. We've seen it happen a bunch of times. They're going to break down. You got to find some type of minutes for these guys, no matter who they are.
I think you could be a good coach who's short-sighted, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And I think like too often we get into bad or good coach, and it's like, well, how can we call a guy a bad coach if he's been coaching the NBA for so long and he's had so much success in the playoffs, etc. But I do think it's short-sighted. And, you know, 2 examples I would bring up is what the Raptors did with Kawhi Leonard, right? They totally lessened his defensive load. They had one of the best wing defenders when they were winning the year they won the championship. He didn't really play very much defense for the Raptors that year. I watched every single game. I covered every single game. Kawhi. His defense fell off. His defense fell off that year. He wasn't guarding the year that
I mean, if you compare it to 2017,
if you compare it to 2014, 2015, when he was more of a role player before he became a star, I would say his load defensively was like higher than what his role and efficiency defensively was much higher than what, I don't know, someone like Jaden McDaniels is today, much higher. But
they had
it fell,
right? So I get it.
Well, I mean, like to case in point, like Kawhi's impact, the Raptors were record-wise better the year after he left by 1 win. No joke. So they paced him like very much in order to save him for the playoffs, because they knew that they had this much time to make it work with this guy, and they wanted to save him for the minutes that mattered.
Well, just to be fair, though, they also had a different constructed roster.
Well, they had a lot of depth, but they planned for this, right? So they had the depth behind them, but they had that depth because Dwayne Casey, prior to Nick Nurse, had actually played these guys. They had the bench mob.
Who are you playing off the bench, though?
Well, here's my point. Who did they play off the bench? They played Norman Powell, who was a 2nd-round pick, who I feel like if rookie Norman Powell was on the Knicks right now, y'all be calling him a bum. They played Fred VanVleet, who was an undrafted guy. They played Jakob Poeltl, who could not shoot. They played Pascal Siakam, who was a late 1st-round pick. And they developed these guys. DeLon Wright, who was a late 1st-round pick. Again, all of these guys, it's not like they had a boatload of blue chip prospects on their bench, and it's like, oh, they're just playing lottery picks. No, they developed these guys. They put them through the G League. That's what good teams do. But it's like,
think about it. If they were fully healthy, they would be playing Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson just ostensibly if they hadn't had the injuries. And then they would have had Josh Hart off the bench, Deuce McBride off the bench, Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench, Precious Achiuwa off the bench, and then whoever, adding the
10 guys.
Bojan would be that situation.
Yeah, so they would legitimately be one of the deepest teams in the league. It's just injuries have ruined that depth. And I think for them, it's like, can I consistently trust Shake Milton or Alex Burke or Jericho Sims? Because those are the other rotational players that got regular season minutes for them. And right now, Jericho Sims is just not a player you could just throw on the court and say, hey, I need you to go get me 6 to 12 minutes at a really high level. Now, he's a great athlete, but he's not like the smartest player on the basketball court yet. And then on top of that, like, Alex Burks had a really good game, but Alex Burks is also the definition of a journeyman, despite some of the things we said last week about some of these superstars. Like, he's a journeyman. So is Shake. And Shake was terrible with the 76ers as well. So, like, I just think they're put in a little precarious situation because they're missing so many players. But that's just me, though.
Yeah, most teams have like a 12-man. Like, you bring 12 guys really into the playoffs, and you have the guys who are never going to play. If 4 of them go down, like if the Bucks were dealing with injuries, if they lost their whole bench, and then Doc Rivers has to start playing Thanasis, like that's what we're talking about with the Knicks right now. It's not that they didn't have guys; it's that all the guys they had are missing. They're missing like damn near a whole lineup.
Right. But we're acting like if they were healthy, minutes are not an issue, but they are. Okay, there's one team in the entire NBA that has 2 guys in the top 12 in minutes played. Who do you think that team is?
We're going to assume it's the Knicks. We're going to assume it's the Knicks.
It's the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
2 guys are in the top 12.
Sorry, there's two teams. My bad. There's 2 teams. It's the Knicks. It's the Knicks and the Bulls. So the Bulls had Kobe White and DeMar DeRozan.
Right.
And then, you know,
wait. The reason why it's the Bulls is because the ghost of Tom Thibodeau still lives over there.
Well, no, and there's no Lonzo Ball, there's no Zach LaVine. Like, there's also injuries that kind of couple.
And they were trying to win, and you can't be playing the guys who don't help you win if you're trying to win.
Right.
And, like, it's a full circle thing with the Knicks. Like, Tibbs plays his guys too many minutes. 1,000%. They get hurt, and now he has to play them more minutes because he doesn't have enough guys who are playable, especially in this point of the season. Like, he can't just throw, like Swiper said, he can't throw Jericho Sims out there and get 7 minutes of rest for Isaiah Hartenstein and Precious Achiuwa. He just can't do it. Like, you can't expect that in a team that's trying to make the conference finals to just run out Jericho Sims. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. No disrespect to Jericho Sims, NBA player, but
in this situation, it's not going to work. No,
we're at the part of the season where you can't be trying to hold someone's hands and help them get experience. We're not experienced. They played it during the regular season and it didn't work.
Of course, Mars. It's not 7 minutes straight.
But that's the last 2
minutes of the first quarter.
No, that's the thing.
Then they're just going to keep getting hurt. I don't know what we're arguing about.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's a circular process. Y'all play these guys too much. They get hurt. He has to play guys even more. They get hurt. Repeat the cycle. That's really what it is.
It don't matter if they woke up. If you got these guys, it's a long game. 12-minute quarters is a lot of basketball. So, look, if we were on the roster, a couple of us have to play. You know what I'm saying? Like
they paying us. We on the roster for a reason. You gave me $1 million contract for a reason.
If everybody's hurt, a couple of us have to play 6-7 minutes a game, just sprinkled in. 2 minutes here, you know what I'm saying? At the beginning of the second quarter, 2 minutes at the beginning of the fourth. A minute in somewhere, you know, it doesn't have to be 5 straight minutes. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying you got to let guys go to the bench, drink some water, sit down, and catch your breath. You know, I know it sounds like that's not a big deal, but you put that next to a media timeout that extends, you know, that extends the break. You just got to figure out ways to get guys some air, bro. It's outrageous to think that these world-class athletes cannot sustain that. It's not fadeable. You can't fade that, bro. I don't care who you are.
And to your point, the 2 teams that you talked about, they were injury riddled. You know, Zach LaVine's out the lineup. Lonzo Ball's out the lineup. With this Knicks team, Julius Randle went out the lineup in January. They ended up trading for Bojan. Bojan, I don't think he made it through the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, right? he started in the playoffs. But he played in the playoffs.
But Mitchell Robinson was basically gone for the majority of the season.
He was.
Right? So these guys that you're playing, if I got 10 fresh guys, I doubt very seriously that Josh Hart is playing every minute, every night, even though he's invaluable. The stuff that he does, the role player that he is, the stuff that he does is almost invaluable. But I got enough guys on this bench that do what's within the system that can help us win, that I could give him 10 minutes where he could sit down and chill out, and then I can put him back in. As opposed to now where I got Alec Burke, I got who do I have on the bench right now? I got Alec Burke, I got Jericho Sims, I got Shake Milton, I got Daquan Jeffries, I got Miles McBride, and say his name one more time,
Mamadi Diakite.
I don't have anybody. Basically what this is, Ox, you got to work a double shift. I don't have anybody to cover you. If I had somebody to cover you today, then I would absolutely send you home after your 8-hour shift. I don't have anybody. If you're not here, then this thing shuts down.
So chill. Can we just please cut the shit? Everybody in the chat, everybody at home, everybody that's going to listen tomorrow, everybody that's here right now, everybody on the panel. It's over. The Pacers in 6. OG Anunoby is not coming back to save Jalen Brunson. He's not coming back to help Josh Hart get some more tough minutes. He's not coming back to save Tom Thibodeau from running the rest of these guys in the ground.
We need to put you on their bench because you got more heart than the entire team.
You got more heart than who?
The Pacers.
Damn.
They're not. It takes guts to close a team out. It takes guts to close out a team as tough as the Knicks. You're not beating the Knicks in 6 games.
And it also takes help
because you have to beat them
to win a series. Jalen Brunson, you could see Jalen Brunson starting to break down. You could see it.
Bro, I don't care if you cut.
Dante DiVincenzo is not going to keep shooting 45%.
I don't care if you cut that guy's leg off. You're not cutting his heart out.
Third and made threes in the NBA this year. He's just not going to keep.
Well, Mars, don't stop there. Who's leading the playoffs in made threes?
Pretty sure it's Mr. DiVincenzo.
Hello, how you doing? Over here. So there's no
Dante been a sniper the whole year.
Let's kill that, Ron. Let's kill that logic right there.
This is the point I'm trying to. No. Go ahead, Chill. Go ahead.
Add that to the fact, Ron, that you know how lethal you have to be to bury these dudes in New York tomorrow night. You're gonna have to destroy these dudes tomorrow night to get out of there with a win. You know how hard it's gonna be tomorrow night.
You gotta be lethal.
You know how hard it's gonna be to go into New York tomorrow night with the crew that you got. With how shorthanded they are, you have no idea the fight that you're going to see tomorrow night, Ron. To his point about heart, you have no idea the fight that you're going to see tomorrow night with those people behind those guys with the Knicks. You have no idea the
heart, like HART.
Not just that.
Well, him too.
He gonna be out there for 48 minutes.
I'm not talking about schemes. I'm not talking about switchability. I'm just talking about the fight that you in for tomorrow night. You have no idea the fight that you in for tomorrow night and how lethal you're going to have to be to end these dudes, to say, we're not coming back here. The series is over. We're shutting down Madison Square Garden until next season. I'm not sure that you guys have that in you. I ain't saying that you can't win the series. I'm just saying I'm not sure you got that in you.
I just don't know how much energy the Knicks got left to fight for a whole 48 again.
Right.
How much energy do you have to lift a car off your baby? How much energy does that take?
I'm not. Yeah, rest in peace, baby. I ain't gonna lie.
Man, that should be. That's mad.
I'm just talking desperate, bro. Like you push someone up against the wall, you find out who they are. I'm just saying, you put the Knicks up. Knicks go. Look, I'm telling you, the Knicks know tomorrow is do or die. They know they can't go down. Yeah, because now you gotta win 2 in a row, and you're dead tired and whatever, and you're putting your back against the wall. And obviously, there's going to be the possibility of a tough shooting night, shots, whatever. So they're bringing force, and I'm just saying, when force hits you, I was talking about this with, what happened with the Nuggets in Game 2. It's like sometimes you get hit and you don't get back up, and you find out who you are. And when someone starts like really hitting you when you get into the paint, and those screens get a little bit harder, and some guys get contact, their brain shuts down, and they start thinking about going home to their wife. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, it was a nice season. You know what I mean?
I'm good.
But that's my point. It's like when you see how tough it is to beat a team that's coming at you that hard, every possession they're coming at you. Every possession Josh Hart's going crashing the glass. Every possession Isaiah Hartenstein is going over you and grabbing the board. I don't think Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner understand what it takes to win in that moment. And I understand I'm talking about an NBA champion and Pascal Siakam and all that stuff, but there's a physicality that I feel like can shut some teams down. Tyrese Halliburton has shown me repeatedly throughout the year, if you get really, really into his body, he shies away from it. And Jalen Brunson doesn't do that.
What are we talking about? I've been hearing this shit since the playoffs started. The Pacers can't match the physicality. They're running helter-skelter offense. They can't be bullies. They will get bullied.
You're dealing with a desperate.
Have they outworked
desperate team though?
What?
You're not
dealing. The desperate too. The series is 2-2. What are we talking about?
They're not desperate. They're feeling themselves right now. They just won 2 in a row. They're feeling themselves. They're thinking to themselves, if we can get it to a Game 7, and it's like if one team is aiming to get it to a Game 7 and the other teams close it out in 6, generally speaking, the team's going to close it out in 6. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's going to end in 6. I'm not as bold as you in proclaiming like, oh, the Knicks are going to end it in 6 or whatever. The injuries are real. Missing OG is real, but I'm just saying it's not ending 6 for the Pacers.
Knicks are missing their most physical players. They're missing Julius Randle. They're missing Mitchell Robinson. They're missing OG Anunoby. Yes.
Being big doesn't make you physical. Jalen Brunson is hella physical. We just lost our host.
I can tell you right now, Indiana's got to win tonight. There's no way the Knicks let them out of there in Game 7 with a win. I don't care what they got. There's no way that they let them out of New York City with a win. If they end up in Game 7,
tomorrow. I mean, anything.
There's no way they got to go in there and win Game 5. Because if they come back here for Game 7, there's no way they let them out of there with a win. I just don't see
fight can only bring you so far. At the end of the day,
Sure.
they still got to make shots. They still got to make shots. Dante DiVincenzo has to have his legs under him. He's got to be able to make shots. Jalen Brunson has to be able to shoulder that offense. Isaiah Hartenstein has to be able to get rebounds. He has to be able to set hard screens.
Right.
Like, they have to still do their job. Like, no matter how hard they fight, no matter how many offensive rebounds they get, at the end of the day, they're still going to have to make shots. And that's where the concerns come with how much energy do they have. I've seen teams in the regular season, you get tired when you have to play at that energy for a consistent period of time. Now in the playoffs, where you're doubling that energy output and you're playing more minutes and everything's on the line, like it's going to be difficult. I'm interested to see how the series goes.
I'm willing to say that you can beat a team even when one team outworks the team. You can beat a team that outworks you, but you have to have a significant gap in talent. So for instance, if the Knicks face the Celtics, I have no doubt that the Knicks will outwork the Celtics and the Celtics will still win. That's because their talent gap is so huge. But with the Pacers, the talent gap is not that big. Even if you could argue that the Pacers are marginally more talented, they are not going to make up the edge on the physicality, the offensive rebounding, etc. And if you grind this game out to a half court, like last game, the Indiana Pacers outscored the Knicks. Half court rating was like 25 plus. So they performed better not only in transition, also in the half court. They just got whooped. I don't think last game should be an indication of what the rest of the series is going to look like. I think it's a one-off.
I think last game is good. Josh Hart only played like 20 minutes because the game was over. Like, if anything, you got to find the positive. You got rest. Like, that's the best thing you can find. Just ignore that game, move on. And now it's a best of 3 series. 2-2, just first to win 2 games.
Well, that's exactly it. Like, the Knicks know that they pretty much just gave a game, right? They just gave the game because they were like, hey, it's a war of attrition. We need to rest our guys. And the Pacers probably feel like, oh, we're really nice. We beat this team by 30. We beat them in the first quarter, and the game was over in the first quarter. They're probably feeling real nice about themselves. It's hard not to get complacent, is what I'm saying. Emotionally, the human element of when you beat a team by 30, coming back and having that same dog mentality like you just lost by 5, that's hard to do. I don't see any Michael Jordans walking in the door for, the Indiana Pacers.
And I don't see no Patrick Ewing's walking in the door for the Knicks. I just don't get this Pacers hate for no reason. In the words of the ticket, hate.
Ron, it's not hate. Ron, I'm sick of
better
you.
team.
You guys are hating, man. You guys are hating.
They are a better team.
What makes them
Ray
better?
Charles can see that. They are a better team. They're a deeper team.
I wouldn't trust his eye test, but I mean, I guess.
They're literally the lower seed. They're literally the lower seed. How are they the better team?
And why are they the lower seed?
By the way,
why are they the lower seed?
Because you're the lower.
Talked about this.
The reason why you're the lower seed because you have one of the worst defenses in the league all year long. The reason why you're the lower seed is because you have one of the worst rebounding teams all year long. That's why you're the lower seed. Don't make it sound like you're the lower seed. Don't make it sound like you're the lower seed and it's close. No.
Yes, but you're right. But this is the thing. They're the lower seed literally because the Knicks are undermanned. I'm not denying the facts. I'm not making it seem like, oh, the Pacers are smacking the Knicks and the Knicks are at full strength and this, that, and the third. No. Right. There's no, I just mentioned it. It's no OG. There's no Mitchell. It's no Bojan. It's no Julius Randle. These dudes are depleted. So without those top 4 guys, I'm sorry, the Pacers are a better team. They got a better front court. They got a better back court. They got more depth. They just do. So and you guys are trying to deny that.
But the Pacers are missing Benedict Mathurin. The Pacers are missing Benedict Mathurin.
That's a fact. You got the best bench player in the series. Gone.
Okay. I was trolling. Okay.
No, but without OG, I'm kind of not so certain. Like now it's even. At first, the Knicks were just better, but now the OG's really out. It's even. So I can't 100% say. I can't 100% say that they're gonna win now. But it's now it's a series. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's a series because of injuries. This is the second straight round
because of injuries. But that's that's a part of the game. People get hurt in the postseason.
That's life.
What's the over under? What's the over under on the first Pacers and Celtics game if the Pacers do make it out of this? Like 25?
No, it's gonna be 11.5. It'll be 11.5. 10.5.
I'll take Celtics. I'll take Celtics 30 on that one, man. They're gonna get killed. Look, I'm just saying, like, sometimes it takes luck. It always takes luck. Always takes luck to make it to the finals. I'm just saying, like, the Pacers, like, I can't think of. I'm hard pressed to find a team in my lifetime that has made a conference finals that's as undeserving of being in the conference finals as that team.
Stop saying undeserving.
Wow.
The Trae Young Hawks? This
Yeah,
Pacers,
we just watched
Detroit
21
Hawks. Who's better?
What do you play?
No.
Go.
Maybe that team.
What do you mean
Maybe.
no?
That was
What do you mean
the
no?
first one that came to my mind.
Yeah.
The
Maybe.
21 Hawks had no business beating Philly. None whatsoever. They had no business in the East Finals.
Who were the Patriots made it? I'm not trying to disrespect Reggie Miller now, but like the Patriots made it to the NBA Finals that year as well. So like I'm not saying that they were bad relative to
Jalen Rose, Austin Crozier. All right. That team was awesome.
That's it. Sure. Bro. Yeah,
respect the 2000 Pacers, please.
No, respect. Yeah, cool. That's all good. But I'm saying like this happens. It's a part of the NBA. The Hawks made it in 2014-15. They got dog walked by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean,
I just think it's crazy. I just think it's crazy that you got a team like the Sacramento Kings get a bounce in the fucking play-in in the Western Conference, which is loaded. That, in my opinion, would beat the Pacers in a 7-game series. You know what I mean? Yes. That team didn't even make the playoffs. Would you
like Houston would beat Indiana, man?
Maybe. Healthy Houston with Alperen Sengun.
Yeah, give us Sengun. Yeah.
With Sengun and Fred VanVleet and all those guards and wings and stuff. Yeah, probably.
That's not news to me. I mean, the Lakers.
Lakers, maybe, Clippers, healthy Memphis with Ja Morant. Oh my God.
Hey, thank you. Hey, Penn, thank you for saying that. Chill. I thought you were going to remind me, brother. We need to call to action right now. Let's call to action. As a players' choice community and family, I want us all to make Adam Silver and the NBA aware that the people want the playoffs in a 1-16 seed. We need it 1-16. We need everybody to play everybody 3 times a year, and we need to seed the playoffs 1-16 because the disparity is crazy. We need this. There's no way that the NBA Finals should be happening in the West right now between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves.
We actually had Ox and I had this conversation on Saturday, and you dudes know that a lot of the stuff that happened in the past, I'm kind of still on that, but I'm willing to try it. I am.
Well, and the problem is too,
you know how I feel about the Eastern Conference and the Western. I feel like that matters. The Eastern Conference.
If the Celtics are going to have Kristaps too, chill. That's going to make a difference. Like they're not going to have Kristaps at all going into the finals, whether it's the Wolves, Dallas, Thunder, or Denver. That is going to
It'll balance out maybe in 2 years when they do the league expansion because they're expanding to Vegas and Seattle, and that means the West will get 2 more teams to beat up on, which will be expansion teams for the next 5 years, and the East will probably get a superpower like
the West not beating up on nobody, Pin.
Relax, man.
You got the Pacers winning the chip.
You got Sonic's gear in your background. Come on, man.
I bet we go undefeated in Canada.
So how do we get this petition started? Because this is serious business, and we just need the NBA to give us 3 to 5 years of this just to see. We're good with an experiment. You know what I'm saying? Give us a trial run. 1-16. Let's get it done. We need a petition. Ron, Claire, JD, somebody. Let's get this going as a PC community because this is what the people want.
The problem is the fact that they added, and Ox and I talked about this over the weekend. The problem is that they added the Larry Bird and the Magic Johnson East and West Conference championship MVP. That kind of negates the 1-16, even though we probably would get the better competition if we did have that.
Call it the Final 4 MVPs. Keep it pushing.
Or something. Yeah,
so this year you would have seen the OKC Thunder versus the Miami Heat in the first round, 1-16, right? We're seeding 1-16, so 1 faces 16.
I don't know why we started off this show with the most boring possible game. But just
hold on for a second, just so you know, Your Highness. Whatever your name is, the Knicks are 14 games over 500 at home. So quiet. Zip it up, Goofy.
Yo, Swipe.
I think they're winning. Ron, what's the bet? I think Knicks are winning that game. What's the bet?
What, game 5?
Yeah. Wait, weren't you supposed to have a bet about you leaving as host off one of these weeks if I got something? Didn't I win that bet?
Yes, we heard that on Thursday. That's exactly what it was. What you just said.
No, but what was the bet for, Chill?
What you just said. If you win, he's off the show for the whole week. You said that, Ron.
But what was it for? What was the parameters? You remember?
If the I don't remember total.
It was the Pacers and the Knicks.
Yeah, it was about the Pacers and the Knicks. I don't remember total. I don't.
Oh wait, so you saying if the Knicks win the series and you get off the whole week, not a birthday week either, not some week you
no, from Monday to Friday, gone.
And I want your check the whole week too. That's
that wasn't time out. First off, that was not the bet. That was not the bet. the bet was you get the host. The bet was you get the host, and I'm a panelist. You get to mute me whenever you want, kick me out, whatever you want to do.
I'm not bringing you on the show. Just to apologize.
And then what do I get, Swiper? That's why the bet never went through. What do I get?
I said I won't be here. I'm chill. I'm gone. I'll see you later. I need a week off anyway.
And this is why the bet never went through. This is why. But y'all, I got to get the super chat. Swiper, I'm still all ears. We can figure this out. But I got to get to these super chats on Swiper. I know it's something that you want to talk about, and we got to get to it. So we get into that right after these super chats. SPWZN said, Ox said there's nothing Denver could do this series. At the time, I agreed. But after game 3, it was simple that they ran action in an empty corner, giving Denver more space to operate. It helped Jamal and gave the Nuggets good looks.
You see what he said pull it back up real quick, Ron? I want to make sure I'm on point. He said at the beginning, he agreed too. You know what I'm saying? So, and this seems like that might be a squad that he likes. He looks like he favors Denver. So, it's not like I was just hating on none of these teams. I saw what I saw, and that's what I reported. Now, Denver turned it around, like Ant said, they are the champs. You know what I mean? It's not like we're just picking on some raggedy squad. You know, so Denver turned it around. Game 5 in Denver, I told you on Saturday, that's a scary place for Minnesota to be. I don't think Minnesota wants to be in a Game 5 situation in Denver, but they have shown that they can win in Denver. So they shouldn't be scared, but, nobody wants to be tied up with the champs going away. But they can pull it off. They showed it twice already they can beat in Denver. They can win in Denver. So let's see what happens.
Air Buddy Unleashed said, Knicks fans so arrogant and bold. I get Ron being annoying. Me too. I understand here, buddy. He said, I get Ron being annoying, but y'all sit down and act like you are some dream team. MSG hasn't hosted the Eastern Conference Finals since the .com bubble, and chill acting like it's Staples.
Like I just said,
.com bubble.
They over 500 in there.
Shout out to Latrell Sprewell.
I want to shout out some of our new members. Alvin Poku, and shout out Poku in the house. Also, JDCF became a new member. And then I got a few members chats too. So let me go ahead and run those down. Nick Tri-State, been a member for 9 months. He said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. Rudy Tomjanovich.
It looked like, we'll get into it, but it's crazy how quickly the series turned the other way. But we'll talk about it. We will.
LA Flight said, what's his VORP, though?
Who's VORP?
Somebody's VORP.
Yeah, someone.
Well, let us know. We'll get down to the bottom of whose VORP is who. We could do that just like that. Mello Williams said, Ron thinks that avalanche will happen again. Mello's also been a member for 5 months, so he knows me pretty well. And he's right. I do think the avalanche will happen again. SPWZN said, what's the Nuggets VORP?
Team VORP. Okay.
That's not a thing?
No, it's not. Value over replacement player, not value over replacement team.
Nah, team VORP. We
no
making the stat. We making the stat.
Team it's on the way. It's on the way.
Kind of like
I got one episode, but I was memorable as hell, wasn't I?
Kind of like the kitchen sink.
Very much. Nah, kitchen sink. I need to look into the formula for that because that's my favorite stat. I don't even know what it means. It's just my favorite stat.
I never heard that before.
Kitchen sink win probability. Yeah.
I don't know what that means either, but all right.
Mr. Rudy Poole said Tibbs will never beat the allegations. Playing dudes 46 minutes a game is not sustainable. This is not 2K. You can't turn off injuries.
Who else is he going to play, Rudy? Who else is he going to play, Rudy Poole? Who else?
Jacob.
Tell us. Who else is he going to play?
Savion S said, it's real funny how Rudy got Defensive Player of the Year, but the Wolves' best defensive game this series was without him.
I knew people were going to say
You knew it was coming, Mars. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, even though
just gotta stop watching basketball with like that kind of
which, by the way, I'm so glad you brought that up, Swiper, because when Rudy got his Defensive Player of the Year, he said during the interview when he was talking to the guys from TNT, yo, man, you guys don't need me. You saw Cat face. Cat was like, oh, hell no. I don't know where you get that from. Absolutely not. Do not buy into that logic.
Single game sample sizes, that's
yes,
what it does.
Right. I've always used the logic swiper.
I've seen the Bucks have a better defense without Giannis on the court when he missed those games this year.
Didn't they blow out Phoenix at home?
The Clippers. They beat the Clippers, matter of fact.
Without Giannis?
Oh yeah, they definitely beat the Suns. I remember that. Yeah. I will remember watching that.
Does that mean they better without Giannis? I guess so.
Didn't they win 5 games without Giannis this last year?
Something like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
It looked like that come playoff time. Sean S became a member. Shout out to Sean S. Also, want to go ahead and take a good moment out of your day to shout out the Player's Choice merch, that good old hoodie the Swiper's wearing. The QR code right under Mars, right under there. Go ahead and scan that. If you need something a little bigger, let me help you out. Right there. Scan that QR code. Grab your merch. Go to www.playerschoicemerch.com. Show us some love. Grab some. Support your favorite YouTube show, The Panel. All right, fellas. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Last time we were here, obviously Friday night, it was game 3. The Nuggets pulled it out. Last night was game 4, and the Nuggets pulled that one out to 115-107. They've won 2 straight games. They've evened the score on the Minnesota Timberwolves. We got 2 games to talk about, but Swiper, I'm gonna let you, if you want to talk about both of them in culmination, if you want to just talk about one or the other. But how do we get to this point? Why is the series tied now?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit, that the Nuggets, they were overly concerned with the whistle in the first 2 games, because I said this on the channel, and I said this in some other platforms as well. But the Wolves were playing over aggressive to start the games in both game 1, because they wanted to test the referees to see, similar to the Lakers, like AD, how much can we get away with fouling to start the game off? That way, if we can be aggressive, we're going to set the whistle, and they're not going to change that. And so they were literally kind of bodying at the level, full court, bodying in the paint. And then the Nuggets were so overwhelmed with the pressure they were putting on them. To the Wolves' credit, they didn't handle that well at all. This was the first time this year that they had dealt with that kind of ball pressure, and then they just didn't respond well enough. And I also think too, and again, I thought about this yesterday, Chill. I think playing the Lakers was the worst thing that could have happened for the Nuggets to start the playoffs. I think that was the worst thing they could have did. I think they absolutely took that for granted. They played the Lakers down to their level. They didn't bring any of that physicality, any of the aggression, any of the consistency, any of the motivation, the know-how. They did not bring that to the table because they didn't believe they had to. Again, they won 12 of the last 13 games, Joe. I know I'm going to beat you. I know I'm going to beat you in that max 5 games, and therefore, the level of energy that they had to spend, it just wasn't the same. And you can tell they came out with the same nonsense in game 1 and 2. Got their block blown off because the Wolves are not playing like that. They're playing very aggressive. They're playing like sharks. They see blood in the water, they're killing. They did it versus the Suns. And then here we come, game 3, and they had 3 days off. Michael Malone put together a little highlight of all the slander from all the network shows saying it's going to be a sweep. The Nuggets were done. He didn't want to send it off to the players himself, so he gave it to DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan then sent it to all the players. And Jamal Murray, he had that rest for the first 4 days. He had 3 days rest off. And also, too, the further Jamal Murray gets away from that calf injury, the better he feels. And he's been just lights out. And they changed up their coverages. They're running more empty side pick and rolls. They're bringing up Jokic and Murray higher at the key. And they also ran a ram screen, basically getting Jokic and Murray up high, and then they'll have Christian or KCP. They'll set a little screen on Joker's man, which is Cat, to get separation from the trailer. And then Jokic then was able to set a screen, has more of a gap on those short passes. And also, too, Jokic he's playing different. Last 2 games, he's averaging 30, 11, and 8. And he's shooting 57% from the field in these games. And he's just taking it to him. There's no answer for him with Rudy, no answer for him with Cat, no answer for him with Nas. And I think this is why when we talked about this originally, you said the longer the series goes, the better the Wolves do. And I said, I actually think it's the other way. I think because the Nuggets, they adjust their physicality and their tempo back up then Joker's going to figure out their defense the later the series go. And now it's like they don't have an answer for him. Like he was floating to the front of the rim, bodying Rudy, bodying Nod, bodying Cat. He's getting them off balance. Like he's hitting his shots now. Now he feels comfortable. Right. That's the problem. Now Jamal Murray, he feels better. The shot making is there. The step back's there. Getting to the rim, playing off pick and roll. The 3-pointers are there. And then defensively, they have turned up the knob from a 4, where it was in the first 2 games, to at least a 9 now. And they're not giving them any open looks. They're doing a great job. We talked about this. Remember in game 2 when Karl Anthony Towns was hunting that switch on the empty side and they'll get like Jamal or KCP on him? Right. Now they're like, we're not conceding any of that crap. You're going to have to play versus Aaron Gordon. And Aaron Gordon was destroying him inside the paint. And then he also can't beat him to the punch off the move. So, I mean, just great coaching adjustment from Denver. The tenacity has been there. Aaron Gordon had obviously spectacular last couple of games, but I think the Nuggets flipped the series because they took over the physicality. Now the Wolves are complaining about the refereeing. Now the Wolves are complaining about things the Nuggets are getting away with. Right. And at this point, the Nuggets have the most unsolvable player in the series, and it's like he's only going to get better the longer the series goes.
I feel like when you have a guy who can not just match physicality, when you got a guy who can match physicality and you can do it within what we run in, that's a recipe for disaster for the other crew. And that's all they did. Last I checked, Joker has always been a physical player. He got taken out of it, and he got taken out of it with the physicality initially, and that took away from what they were doing. Well, I find Mike Malone now, when you have Naz Reid on him, running a lot more isolation with Joker against Naz Reid, and isolation with Joker against Rudy. And that's a recipe for disaster for those two guys. I kind of want Joker to score, and I kind of want Joker to be that guy, but the difference is that Minnesota does it. They won't allow that to just be a one-on-one matchup. They do jump him. And when they do jump him, you get Aaron Gordon around the basket in the dunker spot. You get Aaron Gordon dropping off in the middle of the paint for layups and things like that. I felt like early on they did a good job on Jamal Murray. I felt like they had him boxed up pretty good. I thought Jaden McDaniels did a good job in fighting over screens. I feel like the adjustment in the second half, which was in the third quarter particularly, I feel like that action that they ran, which by the way, Swipe, I'm sure you saw it. They ran this play 4 straight plays where they got Jamal Murray on the left side of the floor running that pick and pop action with Joker. He got wider. So when he gets wider, now that means there's more ground to cover. Now that means Rudy is further away from the basket, which inhibits them rebounding. Well, when Jamal Murray's knocking that shot down, now Rudy's got to stay even more. So I feel like those guys, not only did they match the physicality, but I felt like they did it within the system. And I feel like it's just done. I feel like it's done wonders for them. And they've made a conscious effort, Minnesota has, which is completely blown up in their face. They basically doing the same thing that Oklahoma City was doing with Dallas. They made a conscious effort to tell Aaron Gordon, you're going to have to make open shots. And he's doing it. I think he's shooting something like almost 80% on the long ball in the last 3 games. And not only is he knocking down open shots, him being around the basket, that's throwing a monkey wrench in everything that they're trying to do. Everything.
Pen, you want to talk about this game? Mars?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I had a lot of people in my orbit telling me that this was curtains for the champs, right?
I was one of those guys. I ain't gonna lie. I thought the series was over. I'm not gonna
lie. I thought
the series was over.
I felt a sinking in my stomach when I watched the Nuggets body language after, during game 2 and after game 2, and I'm like, are they ready to just go home? Is this too much? I started to doubt myself, and I'm not a sports bettor. I don't like sports betting. I think it's a pretty, dangerous, slippery slope. And as an addictive personality, I try to avoid it. But I went back and I watched game 1 and 2, and I wanted to because I had a friend of mine who plays D1, and he was telling me that the Nuggets, like, they're cooked. Like, he's like, they cannot score on this defense. They always struggle against this defense. Cat has Jokic figured out. Jokic can't score on them. Jamal Murray is not moving well. Michael Porter Dane got the dog, whatever, all that stuff. And I'm like, I can't believe this, so I have to go back and actually check. And I have to just disassociate myself from all the emotions, the heat pack, the bitching to the referees, the Malone meltdown, and just look at the basketball. What are the Nuggets doing? And do I believe that it's sustainable? Do I think they're going to figure it out? And when I watched those games back, I really got to a point where I was like, if they want this series, they got this series, even down 0-2. And so I started to do something crazy, which is I started betting. I started taking parlay bets like stacking parlay bets. So I saw the Knicks down. I was like, okay, Knicks plus Nuggets, money line. Knicks plus Nuggets, under 3, under 5. And I'm like, I'm betting the house that the Nuggets are winning game 3. And I did the same thing with game 4. So I took it because what I saw in that game film was a team that frankly was not getting calls. And I'm like, this is not going to continue because the league wants long series. They can adjust that. And I saw a team that was really embarrassed, like really embarrassed. So there's 2 things that I think happened that probably were the best thing and the worst thing to happen to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The worst thing to happen to the Timberwolves is they blew out the Nuggets in game 2. They showed their hand too early. If they beat them by 2 or 4, maybe the Nuggets could have been like, we had it, but then we lost it. They stomped them. They stomped them.
No, I don't buy that, man. I don't buy that at all. I'm sorry if I interrupted, but I don't buy that. Game 1, whenever you're in a series, especially if you're on the road, game 1, when you win, that's the game where the home team is concerned. Game 2, when you smoke them like that, now that's where the doubt creeps in. Game 3 is the game you're supposed to choke these dudes out. I mean, game 3 is the game where you're supposed to break their will. Because after what you just did to them on their home floor, you got all the momentum. Not only do you have all the momentum, the way you're playing, that should transfer, particularly your defense, should transfer over to game 3. Instead, they got blown out on their home floor. They got destroyed because that's the game where you're supposed to break their will. Game 4 is the game you choke them out. And they didn't do that. They let them back in the series. And now we got a problem. We have a huge problem.
What you're saying only applies if the team that is doing the beating is the better team. In which case, I would agree with you. If the Nuggets if the situation was flipped, then I agree with you. But the Minnesota Timberwolves are not a better team than the Denver Nuggets, in my opinion. They're a better defense. They're not a better team. They're not better tested. They don't have the best player. Mm-hmm. They don't have the more experience. So they are the worst team. But they had a puncher's chance. And what I'm saying is, I think they threw the haymaker a little too early. And you might say, well, you got to stomp them out. But I'm just saying a win's a win, a loss is a loss. But I'm saying on some level, a 30-point loss in the way that they lost, it might put up some alert for the other team. The other thing that I think hurt the Minnesota Timberwolves is they played Monday. The next game was Friday. You lose rhythm. You lose momentum. You have time to feel yourself. Everybody's texting you saying, oh, you got this. You got this, champ. FanDuel got you as the favorites to win the championship. You didn't come in as favorites in game 1. You didn't come in favorites to win the series. Now you're in favorites to win the championship. And then on the other hand, you got this very humiliated NBA champion that is being, called out. You got Shaq, roasting Nikola Jokic, saying he shouldn't have won MVP. You got Gilbert Arenas. Basically, y'all see the Gilbert Arenas thing, flashing a text saying Jokic just wants to go home. You are really like I've never seen a championship get wiped out so quick. You know what I mean? Like completely discredited. Like we didn't just see these guys do this 11 months ago. They just won a championship.
But we also haven't seen a defending champ get smoked the way that they did at home, like they did neither.
That's not true.
We clear on that. I haven't.
That's not true.
The last time I remember seeing something like that, let's see.
Lakers three-peat.
Getting swept when they got handled, like the Pistons. When the Pistons got handled by the Bulls, the way that they got handled, the Heat, the way that they got handled by Chicago after they won the NBA championship in 2006. I'm trying to
can we talk about the Lakers in the finals after they had the three-peat and then they got Karl Malone and Gary Payton and they got smoked by the Pistons? Like we talk about that Pistons team like they're great. They were great, but they became great after.
First and foremost, when they got Malone and Gary Payton, they didn't win the championship the year before that. They got bounced by San Antonio. So they didn't win the NBA championship the year before that.
Yeah,
yeah, remember they won.
My bad.
But the Lakers when they got swept by Dallas in 2011, no one was taking away their rings. But
I think I think that in particular issue was probably the thing I actually had the most qualms with. I don't care about the basketball. You win, you lose. Right. Like you got to make adjustments for that. I think the problem that I saw, Mars, in relation to what you said, it was the way that people were like just trying to dismantle Jokic and the Nuggets last year and say that last year they haven't beaten a 50-win team in the playoffs. They then changed the narrative about the 72 season that they didn't beat a 50-win team. The bubble, the Clippers didn't play enough games, so therefore they weren't a 50-win team. So they're fraud. This is the first 50-win team they played against. My friends of mine, like people I respect in the basketball content industry. Jokic is the worst 3-time MVP, not held to the standard. Like, look, he's getting cooked by Nas Reed and stuff. It just felt like people were just like waiting for a moment to kind of be vindicated about how they felt about Jokic in particular. Because I think people are really struggling with like, they don't think that he's like an upper eschaton player. And so because of that, like, it's just he's being given too much too early, even the third MVP with SGA, Luka stuff, all that. And so I think people were just hoping that this would be the one to do it. But then now, you know, and especially if Jokic wins a title this year, then Jokic is going to be one of 6 players ever, I think, with 3 MVPs and the 2 finals MVPs. So I think a lot of people just felt a lot of different way, and they felt like, you know,
look, I think sports can sometimes be a bit of a way to vent out our expressions about life. You know, we feel a certain way about a certain city, certain type of people, whatever. You look at all this stuff that's happening with Caitlin Clark. You tell me there's no racial components to that. Of course there is. Magic, Bird, Lakers, Celtics. There was always that. I think there's a weirdness about the NBA right now where all the top players are European or foreign, right? And we're talking about the last American MVP was James Harden. That was a long time ago. And you got Wemby coming in. He got all the hype.
18, was it 18 or 19? I'm sorry.
It isn't. I think 18, it was 19.
18.
Is it 18?
Because Giannis won 19.
Giannis 19. Okay, so you got so you got Giannis, you got Jokic, you got Embiid. They're running the train, and then the next up, right, 3-4 years, you could think Luka, Shea, Wemby, right? Those guys could run a decade of MVPs. So I think a lot of American fans, frankly, which is where basketball is probably the biggest in the world, apart from maybe China. I think a lot of those people were really, really excited about seeing a North American player take it to the poster child of foreign basketball, which is Nikola Jokic, right? And the Nuggets are a pretty foreign team. I mean, they play in a relatively small market. You know, not that Minnesota's some large market, but they got Jamal Murray. They got, you know, he's Canadian. They got Nikola Jokic, and he's like the best foreign player ever. So I feel like it's maybe like a venting thing, you know, where it's like almost like rooting against those old USSR teams back in the day. Like, you know,
let's chill out on Joker being the best foreign player.
We understood the point. He's one of like
who's better?
Hakeem,
Dirk.
Like, fine.
Hakeem.
That's what it's gonna be.
Or
so
Duncan,
like that's why I said like
Duncan,
we understand the point.
I'm still good with Dirk. I'm still good with Dirk.
Remember, Penn didn't have
now
Hakeem
look
top
what we've done.
15.
No, we're not doing that, Miles. No, we're not
look,
going there. We understand the point. We understand the point. We're not going
point
there.
Whatever. He's the best international player today, or maybe he's the best European player. Let's call him the best European player. We don't have to say the best international player because that takes out the Hakeem and the Duncan of it. Right. Even though Duncan's kind of American, but sure.
No, he technically he is international as well. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Sure. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of venting of that. And also there's a large segment of the population that just really hates analytics. And Nikola Jokic is a poster child for analytics. People discredit analytics all the time because he has a high defensive box plus minus.
I just specifically remember though that analytics was the main argument used for LeBron James over Michael Jordan for years. But you know, something happened in 2018-19 when the numbers started flipping. So it was just
Michael Jordan was an analytics darling, just for what it's worth. I
do think on some level analytics has ruined the game. That is,
it's people not understanding them.
Yes,
the analytics they do their job. But the people who don't take the time to understand things, and then they just start spewing out these numbers, and if it proves something that they don't understand.
People who say Cade Cunningham was one of the worst players in this draft class because of sports, stuff like that.
You're going there. I mean, look,
No. Playoff.
Yeah, he was making a little joke. But yeah, I think the issue, I think Jokic was great without the analytics in his favor. The thing is, the analytics aren't just usually just crazy wrong. Like I don't think there's ever been a time where every single stat has said this guy is probably the best player in the league. And it's just been Isaiah Hartenstein. Like, I don't think the analytics have ever been that wrong. So I think if you're going to look at them and every single one is pointing to one thing, maybe your view on saying this guy isn't that good or he's not a top 5 player is just wrong. Like
maybe it's a pie chart argument where you use analytics to be like 40%. That's 40% of the argument. 25 to 30% is eye test, and then the rest of it is context, right? You can use context, right? I don't personally like how team success is always used to justify individual success. This entire idea of the MVP has to be the best player on the best team. Well, that's Jason Tatum. That's not fair because there's context involved here. He plays in the weaker conference. He's on a pretty stacked team. They're extremely hard to stop because of the defense, and he's not the only person doing shit. I think there's a pretty solid argument for MVP, and I think, this would probably be it. If you could take one player and exchange them for any one player, what's the team that wins out on that result? So I look at a team like, I saw a lot of guys who claim to be defending Shea, right, for MVP. Like they even watch OKC games. My ass, they do. They don't. No, they just didn't want you. They didn't want Joker to win it, so they want anybody else. They're like, oh, Shea. I have an argument. He's the best player on the best team. By how much? How much are the OKC Thunder the best team? They were number 1 seed by like the chin, by like an inch. But what I'm saying is, if you had let's say right now this offseason, the Thunder traded Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and they traded him for Nikola Jokic. Who gets better? I think that's the argument. Who is doing the most? And I think analytics do a pretty good job of measuring that impact, right? Like Shea is awesome. Luka is awesome. But if those teams could replace those guys with Jokic, provided the rest of the roster could reconstruct itself with relatively even talent, I think the team is better off for having Jokic than having any one of those other guys. And the only guy that you can even make that case for that it might not be true is Embiid.
No, but okay, no. But
and Luka.
I think
like those three guys.
The issue with the Jokic thing is like even people in the series, like you just have to value certain things, like whether it's screening, like that's changed the series. Like the screening has changed the series. Rudy Gobert being a very good screener has made the Minnesota offense better while he's on the court than not. That's one of his functions within the offense. Now, chill. The only thing I really had energy for today, because I don't really have like, I'm not one of them dudes. I'm going to like rub it in your face type deal. Like it is what it is. But you, sir, argue. I think it was Ox and I in February when I first joined the show about Rudy Gobert needs more post touches. Sir,
I want you to keep going, but I didn't say I didn't say post touches. I said that they need to involve him more.
You said post touches.
That's what I said. I didn't say running touches. I didn't say throwing the ball into him in the post.
You said post touches for scoring.
No, I said that they miss him. I said that they miss him a lot, which they did last night too. They missed him a lot on that.
I don't think they miss him. I think they ignore him. There's a difference. They aren't missing. They aren't be like, oh no, I didn't see it. They saw it and was like, this isn't our best option. So we are just not going.
Which is nuts to me.
And the Nuggets are acknowledging. The Nuggets are also ignoring him. They are letting him roll to the free throw line and saying, please give him the ball. We pray you give him the ball. The one time they did give him the ball, he tried to kick out of the short roll and turn it over.
But remember, he had two post-ups on Jokic. Two post-ups on Jokic in this game. Joe, do you remember what happened?
Yes.
The first one, he tried to fall down left shoulder, fell over, tried to flop. Lost the ball, live ball transition. And then in the next one, he tried to, again, back down Joker. Joker then said, all right.
Pull the chair from up.
Pull the chair.
Yes, he did.
He traveled. He doesn't have any skill in the post. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he's literally like, he cannot be used in that function except for a floater from 8 feet away or a vertical spacer. He just doesn't have
that, by the way. That little flair. Shout out for
it's been working. Yeah, it's been working.
Yeah, but like that's why I said and this goes back to the Utah days. The reason small ball worked against Utah, part because they had no perimeter defense. The other part is not because Rudy's defense was the problem. He couldn't punish small ball offensively. If you have a 7-1 big on the floor and a team goes all 6'5", the realistic answer to that is we have the 7-1 guy. We're going to give him the ball. He's going to kill you on either the offensive glass or in the post, and he's going to score every time and make you change. But he couldn't do that, so teams could stay small, and that's how they would get killed. Rudy's offense has always been the problem. Defensively, he's still probably the best defender in the league, but offensively, he is so flawed and has been flawed from the day he entered the league to now. He's just a bad offensive player. And I've defended Rudy defensively for as long as I've been on this platform. But offensively, it's just bad. The only value he provides is offensive rebounding and screen setting. Right. Everything else is terrible. Just bad.
And he's, to be honest with you, he's not that bad around the rim. But when I'm watching Mars and I'm thinking to myself, as a basketball player, there's a reason why we're not going to you. So when I watch him bury Jamal Murray underneath the basket and they still don't give him the ball, I'm thinking to myself, well, it can't be because they don't see him. It's not that.
Yeah,
it can't be because the play is designed differently. it can't be because they're trying to just get something else. When you got that's basketball 1-on-1. I got a small dude on a big guy, and I got a big guy underneath the basket. Give him the basketball. It's really that simple. So when I watch him get Jamal Murray switched on him, and Jamal Murray's not even trying to fight around him because he knows they're not going to give him the ball. I'm thinking to myself, is Rudy not as good as I think he is? Because it can't be because it can't just be.
How many years of data do you need?
It can't just be because they're missing him on the pick and dive. It can't be that because you see him. That's part of the offense. It can't be when he gets big in the post and posts up. It's not that you don't see him. He's wide open.
But
why aren't you involving him in the offense more?
But I'm saying, but on those post-ups, he had Jokic or AG on him. There's no winning. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're both stronger than he is. He doesn't have enough skill or touch to get around it. And then on top of that, like that first one was horrible. Like, you get bodied and then you throw the ball into the ground to flop for a foul. And both him and Cat honestly can't post up versus the Nuggets. That's also the problem. They have 2 7-footers on the roster. Neither one of them can post up unless they have a significant matchup advantage. Because Cat tried to post up AG yesterday, multiple possessions, and got shut down every single time. So they're not allowed to do any post touches because they can't. And Anthony Edwards is their saving grace. If he's slashing, he's getting to the rim, and his ability to finish over contact, it's like I'm expecting him to miss at least 3 or 4 layups in this series. He hadn't missed any of them. Because when he gets to the rim, he just finishes over everybody, and he's so good at it. So, again, their offense was bad in the regular season. I did tell y'all that I think it was going to be gassed a little bit because of the Sun series. And then the first couple games, the Nuggets weren't playing any defense. But as soon as the Nuggets put them in a half-court offense, it made them have to make several rotations and didn't give them wide-open running ways to the rim or wide-open three-pointers. The whole offense fell apart. And if you do that, if you go 2 4-minute stretches versus the Nuggets and you don't score, then you're probably not going to win the game.
That's like coming up empty against the Warriors, where that Warriors team, when they rolling like that, when you don't score for 3-4 minutes, 8-point lead will turn into a 20-point lead.
Yo, Big Ox.
My bad.
Can you tell me how you feel about what you think the rest of this series is going to look like?
Well, I already pretty much spoke on it earlier. Like, going to Denver tied up isn't a good place for the Wolves. I'm not sure what to see. It's like 2 completely different series from game 2 to game 2, and then game 3 and game 4. So with series like that, it's just kind of like what's to be expected. The momentum is shifted completely. Can the Wolves stop the bleeding and shift the momentum back? It's just one of those things. We just got to wait and see. Just kind of got to watch it and see how they respond. But this is really a telltale sign for guys like Anthony Edwards. For like, what type of mentality do you have? He usually says the right things, you know what I'm saying, in interviews and stuff like that. But I got to see it. You know, I really want to see how do you respond to this. Can you bring your team out of this? Because you can guarantee, you can bet the house that some guys over there are discouraged. I don't know what guys, but somebody's discouraged. Like, because you know you get on such an emotional high. You get on such an emotional high, and then you go home and drop 2. Somebody's over there kind of like, damn, like these guys, we can't do it, you know. So
that was Denver. That was Denver after game 2. Exactly what you just said about Minnesota. Exactly what you said about Minnesota right now, because that is going on. There's somebody in that locker room that's like, man, I don't know if we could do it. That was Denver after game 2.
I wouldn't say that Denver. The only reason I wouldn't say that they were
not the whole team, Swiper, but
somebody though.
Well, so again, whoever Gil got that text message from, you know, I don't know. He claimed he got a text message from a Nuggets player. I think that the thing with Denver though is that because they've been here so many times, maybe one of the younger players, but the vets, they've all have gone through like 3-1, 0-2, whatever else it was, getting smacked in the playoff, losing tight games. So I think a lot of this was like they just by the next time they came out of press conference, they spoke to the media, they were all like, we know what we got to do. We didn't play up to our standard. Malone took the blame. The players took the blame, and they just did what they had to do. They put in work. And I think at this point in time now, though, Chill, it's like, if you got this is why I've always said, if you got the best player in the series and you healthy and y'all are lockstep with each other, it's really, really, really hard to beat that team. Because at this point, they have the best defense in the league, Chill. And the Nuggets are walking through them like water.
I never at any point, Swiper, to be honest, and I said this to Mars last night. Mars can attest to this. I said this to Mars last night. There was no point in that game last night where I didn't think Denver wasn't in control of that game. even when Minnesota was fighting back, even when Minnesota went on their runs. I never at any point felt like Denver did not have control of that game. Never. Whether they were running action, whether they were defending, it never felt like Minnesota was becoming more in control of the game. I always felt like Denver stayed in control of that game last night. Add that to the fact that Cat, the way he came out last night, like we didn't even touch on Cat. The way Cat came out last night, as good as Denver is, we can't have arguably our best offensive player go 0 for 7 to start the game. That can't happen.
What?
Arguably their best offensive player.
Arguably their best offensive player. We can't have him start the game. We can't have him start the game where he comes up empty and we get nothing from him. And all he's doing is looking at the officials instead of playing through contact, which is what you did with those guys in both those two games, instead of hunting the mismatches, which is what Minnesota did, where you get Jamal Murray on you on the left block in the mid post, or you get him on the left block and take advantage of that. He didn't. In fact, not only did he not take advantage of it, he went away from the stuff that made him effective in game 3, where he was asking for the ball more. He's shooting fallaways. He's falling over himself. He's looking weak around the basket. They can't win if he's playing like that.
But do you think at this point, though, given how mid their offense was all season, how they kind of have come back down to earth? Because at this point, the Nuggets are going to all right, cool. So Anthony Edwards, and I said this on Twitter, people got mad. Anthony Edwards is having a Devin Booker run right now. And people are like, well, he's way better than Devin Booker. Devin Booker is whatever. I don't know if y'all remember. Devin Booker last year, first 9 games in the playoffs, 37 points a game, 7.4 rebounds.
He was on fire.
7.4 assists, 5 rebounds a game. He was shooting 62, 51, 87 splits.
Definitely.
62, 51 splits on 6 3-pointers a game.
What's the true shooting swiping?
It was like 70. It was like 70. It was something unheard of. It was unheard of. And then
I'm not a true shooting guy either.
Anthony Edwards this year, 32, 6, 5, 67 true shooting. He's shooting 56% from the field and 44 from 3. So Devin Booker did this, but he was even better last year. So again, Anthony Edwards is having another crazy shooting start to this playoff. And the problem is, as soon as that turns down at all, the Wolves are going to crater in one of these games just because
is it going to though?
Well, I think
it didn't last night.
It depends how long the series goes. If it goes to, there's a chance he could pull it out for the next 3 games. That definitely could happen. But at some point in the time, it's going to turn back down. You're not going to have a 67 true shooting for the rest of the playoffs. So, again, maybe it's shooting upholds. I'm not saying, I'm just saying mathematically, statistically, the probability says it's not going to sustain itself. But that for me is speaking to the Wolves as a team. They look discombobulated right now. And offensively, if they don't have nothing from Cat, Nas Reed's been taken out of the series right now because they've been pressing up on it. And when the second unit comes to the game, all they're playing Jamal, Christian Brown, Justin Holiday, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. They're switching everything. So as soon as you get a mismatch, they're staying in front, they're giving you one shot, and then they're running down the court. And now, finally, the Nuggets are hitting their open 3-pointers, which they've been the worst open 3-point shooting team in the league in the playoff prior to the last 2 games. So, I knew the shot variance was going to bounce back their way. But like I said, we'll see. Ant can legitimately average 40 the next 3 games too. So that's all there as well. But I think that's what the Nuggets are banking on. Cool, you do that. But the rest of y'all ain't going to get nothing either.
So can I get overall go ahead. My bad.
I think the overall impact of Anthony Edwards is probably number one, he's doing it younger than Devin Booker. He's 22. Devin Booker was 26, 27 last year. I think also who are you when things aren't going right for you offensively? What else can you do for me? Can you set screens? Do you defend? Do you rebound, etc.? We see with Jason Tatum, he's having a pretty forgettable offensive, playoffs, but without, we got Kristaps Porzingis out. He's getting on the glass. He's crashing. He's doing some other stuff to help him win. He's defending. Devin Booker, I had a debate with someone earlier this year where they were like, Devin Booker clears Anthony Edwards. He clears, Spider Mitchell. And I'm like, I think I put him behind those guys personally. And this is why. Because Devin Booker, when he has a bad game, it's a pretty damn bad game. I'm not sure Anthony Edwards in his prime, when he has a bad game, it's going to be a bad game. I think it's going to be like a Jokic bad game, where it's still a really good game for somebody else.
Respect rebounding?
What do you mean?
Respect rebounding? Bad Jokic game, 20 rebounds.
Yeah, I think that's kind of his point.
But it's like he can do it in different ways. Like a good Jokic game could be 37-7, or it could be 25 rebounds and 14 points and 17 assists. You know what I mean? Like he can do it different ways. And I feel like that malleability and that flexibility is good, because maybe one game they're sending triple teams to you, right? And I feel like the more counters you have, the more pieces you have around you, that's going to make you better, right? With Jokic, like I was watching him play last night, and I agree. Like there was no point other than maybe 3 minutes into the game, I was like, this is anyone's game. Maybe 5 minutes into the game, I'm like, you could have heard a pin drop in that arena. It was over. It was over. They knew it. Everybody knew it. The reason for that is they couldn't do anything with Jokic. You can focus on Christian Brown. You can focus on, Wiggins. You can focus on Porter. You can focus on Jamal Murray, and they matter. They have to hit shots. But the point is, where does your offense really start? It starts with Aaron Gordon bringing it up and giving to Jokic and then working off of that. And what do? He starts in the first 2 games. I think Jokic had the worst 3 stretch of games between LA final game and the first 2 games against Minnesota that I've seen him play in the playoffs in my life. That's 1, 2, 3 in a row. And I'm like, yo, that's when Gilbert Arenas dropped that thing about him wanting to go home. I'm like, yo, did something happen maybe off the court? Maybe where something, is occupying this guy's mind, because I can't believe that a league MVP is playing this bad. But the minute he started turning around in game 3, it was like very obvious that first domino of the offense was cratering everything that the Wolves want to do defensively, because you send a double to him and he sees where your gap is, and you go single coverage and he scores like he's not breaking a sweat. So it's an automatic 2 points.
Well, his defense has been much better the last 2 games too.
He's been playing higher, and he's also.
But do you see how? But that's also Ox. Remember when I said
Ant can still turn the corner.
But I'm saying, he's doing a much better job at not allowing him to see through, and especially in game 3, that was also the difference in the 19 points in that game. Ant was he was hitting his 3-pointers in game 4, so therefore it was like,
oh, you can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, but game 3, like he literally he was staying up at his hip. That way he wasn't allowing him to get around, and that changed their defense. So again, I'm not saying that's going to stop Ant, but the point is, if you limit penetration, you're not getting to the rim, and then therefore when I'm playing up at the level, then they're scrambling. That's why they didn't score. They didn't score at all in that game, in part because Jokic has to be that aggressive. He had 3 blocks and 3 steals in that game. This game comes back with 3 steals to the block, and he's extremely active on defense. So again, this is what I'm telling y'all. The Nuggets cannot win unless Jokic is engaged. And Mars, whoever asked that question, why is he not engaged? I can't answer that question. I just know that he can do this. Once he does it, that's when they win. And he has to keep doing it. He just has to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Denver is similar to Miami. Like, hear me out. Not in terms of how they play defense, but once you get to the rim on Denver, you're probably gonna score. Because Jokic, he's not protecting you. He's not going to stop someone from scoring around the rim very often. That's not what he does. But Denver's defense, especially for the last 2 years, has been about not allowing you to get to the rim. And Jokic plays his part in that. Now, there was a couple, this playoffs, questionable. But the last 2 games...
how many games did they play so far? 9? It's 9? 9? Yeah,
they've played 9 now.
The first 7 games.
Seven, yeah, not so much. But like the whole Denver scheme for the last 2 years has been about not allowing you to get to the rim. Whether that's Jokic playing higher, whether that's having your rangy athletes be able to scramble and just make sure that you're not getting to the basket. So like you can look, I think that there's probably numbers for this. I don't have them, but I'm 99% sure. If I had to guess which teams allow the fewest amount of shots at the rim, it would be Miami and Denver. But then which teams have like the highest field goal percentage allowed at the rim? It would probably be Miami and Denver.
Denver was top 5. They were top 5.
So like that's their defense is about not allowing you to get there. Because once you get there, you're gonna score. Sure. But if you don't get there enough, we're gonna live with the results. And that's what they've been great at. And then offensively, they've done a couple of things I said they should do. Aaron Gordon should probably bring the ball up more because you want Rudy A away from the rim, and B that was the biggest thing for me. You got Aaron Gordon bringing the ball up, so Rudy has to play higher. Also, inverted pick and rolls with Jokic and Aaron Gordon. They've been running that a lot more. So shout out to you, Michael Malone. I know you probably came up with that idea by yourself, but I said it too, so I'm going to take credit. But that's like and then they're also extending the spacing of the court. Chill kind of alluded to it in terms of A, they're making sure they get their empty side consistently, but B, they're dragging the screen out further so that these rotations that the Wolves have to make are harder. Because
And
if
AG,
you make it,
shoot.
yeah.
Just
Oh
shoot.
yeah. Hey, what Aaron Gordon's doing? What Aaron Gordon's doing? Hey, Aaron Gordon doesn't miss a three. Yeah, you're gonna lose. I'm not gonna lie. Aaron Gordon can't miss a three. You're gonna lose. But them extending the floor.
He's shooting 60% from three.
The last 3 games, he's shooting almost 80%.
I haven't seen him miss in 2
He's
games.
shooting 41% from three in the playoffs now, but in the last 5 games, he's shooting 64% from three.
The last 3 games, he's shooting almost 80%.
But again, it's not like they're contested. They're literally him standing there.
Yeah, they're conceding it, but hey, you concede it for a reason. If he gonna make it, then now if you have to respect him, there's a whole different ballgame. But them extending that screen out is now forcing those rotations to be harder, and it's giving Jamal Murray more space to operate, especially on like the baseline area. And then the player adjustment that isn't coaching is Jokic is actually holding his screens. The first couple of games, he wasn't holding screens. So you could get over and you could keep one in front and then you could recover to the ball and you're fine. Now he's holding screens and he's hitting someone on every single screen. That now the Jaden McDaniels, who I think has done a hell of a job trying to fight over these, and Nikhil to a lesser extent because he's been getting clipped a lot. But them having to fight over and now be behind the plate is compromising this Wolves defense.
And can't screen chase at all, by the way. He's terrible.
And also Jokic isn't rolling as far as he was. He's staying within that pocket, and Rudy's having to come out further to contest those floaters, which he's now actually taking instead of passing out of them.
That
now
first one that he had, Mars, he did a fake to AG.
Oh yeah, where he faked the pass and then that's ridiculous. And now that Rudy's having to extend out further and Jokic is actually taking it, there's not much you can do. And Jokic made like 4 passes last night that were just ridiculous. Like one to Aaron Gordon where he didn't even take the dunk. But crazy.
Oh yeah, I don't know what he was.
I don't know what Aaron Gordon did, whatever, but that pass was ridiculous. He made one when he faked a fade.
No. Did you see the bunny he missed in the fourth quarter when he
when he faked and he missed out. Yeah, he saw the highlight. He not that guy. He saw the highlight. He not that guy. But like, so he made like 3 passes to Aaron Gordon that were ridiculous. One where he faked a fade, hit Aaron Gordon. There's nothing you can do about that. One in the fourth quarter. There's nothing you can do about that. One where Aaron Gordon didn't take the dunk. Nothing you can do about that. And then there was one in like the first quarter. He was jumping out of bounds from the baseline. He skipped it to Reggie Jackson. And Reggie Jackson hit the top of the backboard. The pass was ridiculous, but Reggie Jackson hit the top of the backboard. So, like, there's some things you just can't do with Jokic. Like,
but also the adjustments that the Nuggets made with Malone. Again, this is the Nuggets swallowing their pride. Peyton Watson was their 6th most important player this year.
Oh yeah, he's
not playing because he can't shoot. But then what did they do? Look, veteran
Christian Brown has been
Holiday. Christian's been great, getting to the rim, playing good defense.
Justin Holiday can't miss too. Oh my God!
44% from 3 in the playoffs.
Oh my God! Justin Holiday can't miss.
And last thing, remember that kick out pass Reggie Jackson had? He drove to the lane, took 2 with him, and then he kicked it out to Joker.
Yes.
That last play, Anthony Edwards was over here, and then there was Nikhil over here. But Nikhil was guarding MPJ, Ant was guarding Justin. So they couldn't even come back to show it Joker. And at that point, Joker has a 10-foot free 3-pointer that he nails. And that's what I mean. Like, if the Nuggets can space their offense out, the Wolves can't do anything about that. Go ahead, Joe.
That's the biggest problem right there that you just said. When they space their offense, when they get that pick and pop with Joker, it starts as opposed to being in the middle of the key. When it starts at the top of the key, and then Jamal Murray gets as high as he does and as wide as he does, when Joker's diving and he gets the ball to Joker, why both Rudy and Cat, they both go right to Joker, which leaves Aaron Gordon wide open in the dunker spot. But then Rudy is so conscious of protecting the rim when it's just him and Joker that Joker will just stop at the mid post and drop that floater. So it's almost like there isn't an answer for it. So it's almost like we have to just eat that. Well, when I think about Aaron Gordon, which they did make a conscious effort, right? They made a conscious effort to say, you got to make shots. Well, damn, okay, now he's making shots. So how do we adjust to this? Do we get a hand in his face? Well, they did get a hand in his face. A lot of the shots that he made. So to start the game, Swipe, I think he made his first 10 shots. I think he went 11 for 12 from the floor. So of those 12 shots, of those first 10 shots, I think 6 of them were wide open. All right, I think 6 of them were wide open. So when he's at the long ball line, to at least get a hand up, right? To at least get a hand up and make him make contested shots.
That's too. But I'm saying they're too close. Then if they're doing that, that's the whole point of containing.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're gonna get if if you're going to get a hand up on him, now that means that the lane is wide open because Denver spreads their offense out so wide, which makes Joker and Jamal Murray, that two-man action, even more effective. When they're rolling like when Denver's rolling like that with that two-man action, they're almost impossible to beat.
And this is the best. And this is why I said Minnesota would be the biggest matchup. They're the best team to defend it. If they don't get it done, I'm telling y'all, nobody, the Thunder, the Mavs, the Celtics, nobody else is going to be able to do it. They just don't have the personnel from the perimeter to the wings and then to the rim to be able to stop that. So, yeah, man. And then Jamal spilled himself now at this point. Like Jamal is like hitting step back 3-pointers. That third quarter explosion he had. Step back 3-pointer to the left. Step back 3-pointer to the right. That baseline hit over Cap. The roll left-handed over Cap. And if he's in a rhythm and he's feeling good, and Jamal only needed 19 points. He got 19 points with like 7 minutes left in the third quarter yesterday. Didn't score the rest of the game. He didn't have.
He got boxed. They had him boxed up in the first. They had him boxed. Jaden McDaniels actually did a really good job boxing him up early, contesting shots, bumping him off that pick and roll. The adjustment in the third quarter was more spacing. That was the adjustment in the third quarter. And I got to give a shout out to Minnesota's bench. I mean, I think they got 27. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think they got 27.
Minnesota's bench or Denver's bench? Minnesota's bench.
I'm sorry, Denver. I'm sorry, Denver.
Yeah,
Denver. I think they got 27 points. I think they got 27 points from their bench and only 2 turnovers. When you rolling like that, Denver's bench. Minnesota's bench, on the other hand, which was a minus 47, get slow-mo off the floor.
Kyle Anderson
get slow-mo off the floor.
He's entering.
They got to keep playing him though, because what are they going to play? Monte? They have to play him.
He's entering the territory of we can't afford to have you out here. That's what. But
that's the thing is, I don't think Finch is ready to make that Peyton Watson adjustment to take him out though. I don't think they're going to do that because they're going to go smaller at that point.
They really should. And also one more adjustment that not really an adjustment because they did it during the regular season, but they've done it more in recent games. They're screening for Jokic before he screens for Jamal Murray. So that once again,
that's
so like them screening for Jokic before Jokic goes to screen for Murray is now putting the big behind the play. And anything that can give you those, like it's all about the margins at this point. Anything that can give you those slight advantages where a big is behind the play, and because Jokic is holding the screen, now the guy tracing Jamal is also behind the play, and now the big has to commit to Jamal Murray, and now you're giving Jokic action on the roll. They weren't getting that in game 1 and game 2. So Michael Malone is doing a hell of a job. I'm curious to see what Finch's adjustment is going to be. I'm not sure what he can do. I'll probably have to think about it. But
I was just about to ask you about that when you said that. So what do you do? I know you said you got to think about it, but so let's think about it right now. What's an adjustment? Do you play on defense? Do you play a spot? Do you switch early? Like where are we okay switching early, or do we just play a spot on defense? How do we adjust?
That's tough. Yeah,
switching early with Jokic. The problem is you can't switch with Jokic. That's you. If he's in the play, you can't switch because if you're smaller than him, he's not going to bail you out with taking threes. He's not going to do it. He's going to back you down, and then you're going to double, and then he's going to kick out, and then he's going to get further. He's going to get deeper. He's going to repost, and then you're going to have to double, and you're going to get cooked. And that's the thing. Jokic doesn't bail you out of possessions where if he has an advantage, he's going to do the best thing possible with that advantage. So you have to keep a big on him, which is going to be Cat because they don't want Rudy on him because of his roaming. But his roaming is being nullified when Jokic is in the action.
Cat played him in the second half yesterday. He was guarding Joker for a majority of it.
Yeah, because like and that's why I said the most important spot on the floor is not the rim or the 3-point line, because in the playoffs, teams are going to run you off the 3 and they're going to try and stop you from getting to the rim. But what the most important, the sensitive spot on the floor is anywhere from like 7 to like 12 feet. And that's where Jokic might be the best player ever. Like in that range where teams can't extend out to you, he doesn't miss. Like he missed that one where he got the highlight. But other than he doesn't miss, he's not gonna miss floaters. And that's the shot that defenses, most teams in the league are living with floaters. That's the one shot that teams can probably get on a possession per possession basis. And he doesn't miss the shot that teams want to give up. So you have to extend. And if you extend, you're going to get cooked. But I don't know what you do.
If he wasn't in foul trouble, that third quarter, he could have 48 points yesterday, the way he was rolling.
They couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop him.
They run the same. They run the same action that Minnesota. They got this one play where they run the same action that Minnesota runs, where Joker is at the top of the key, and he goes and screens for Michael Porter Jr. and then comes right back to get a dribble handoff from Jamal Murray, and then now he's going downhill and basically diving to the basket. Rudy's in the paint. With Rudy being in the paint, he can't really protect the rim because he knows that if I protect the rim, I'm going to give up that midi. And if I give up that midi, then it's lights out. I feel like this Denver team, once they get going with what they have, we've seen them before, Swiper. Once they get going with their action, they're pretty impossible to deal with. It's almost like there isn't a counter for anything that they have.
Because the momentum carries to the bench too. The non-Jokic minutes. That's what people are confused about. Like I think right now in 15 minutes played, the Jamal Murray, Justin Holiday, Christian Brown, MPJ, AG unit, they're like a plus 48. I think right now, because they're just getting stopped. And then on the other end, if you can't collapse on Murray, now Murray gets there's 3 or 4 pitchers on the court now. So if you double or hedge, then they're rolling. And Aaron Gordon's playmaking, what's the difference yesterday? Like he got in the post yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, double." Or
made a skip.
Yeah. And Mars, I told you, Mars, that Holiday was going to make Najee unplayable. I knew.
Holiday's been great.
I knew.
But shout out to Michael Malone, man. I said you got after game 1, I think, or game 2, one of those games. I said, how is Michael Malone going to make Aaron Gordon viable? It was probably game 1 because I think game 1 is where Aaron Gordon struggled like mightily. I said, how is he going to make Aaron Gordon viable? And that's the sign of a good coach. You got to find a way because Aaron Gordon has a deficiency. It's shooting. Even though he doesn't miss for some reason, he has a deficiency. It's shooting, and he's found a way to make Aaron Gordon invaluable.
Just shoot. What's the worst that can happen? You miss, so don't hesitate. Just shoot it.
I mean, if he's gonna make threes, you're not beating Denver in a 7-game series. Like he
shot 39% from the playoffs last year. But this is what I'm saying, Mars. He's shooting 41% from 3 and 77% from the line this playoff. He has a 68 true shooting. That's what I'm telling you. Like if AG is not a liability as a shooter, they basically become unguardable. Yeah, that's the whole hope of the defense. By the way, Mars, did you see the Wolves went zone in the second half yesterday?
They did.
Yeah.
I was like, no way. They did do that. Nuggets got them to play zone.
Yes, they did do that. And that was largely due to Jaden McDaniels getting in foul trouble. They were trying to they had stuff. Yeah, that was largely due to that.
It wasn't. It was after the consecutive string of Murray in the pick and roll when he was rolling to the left. Right. They made the adjustment that way he would stop getting that bead. But then they don't run zone well, and so literally Jokic is like not Miami. Remember Miami? Everything's like contested. There's no real lane. Jokic is standing there
they still run their man-to-man action when they're running their zone.
But once Denver makes a team go zone, like they're running out of answers. Like within the game, they're running out of answers. If you're going to zone against Denver and Jokic, and you aren't a good zone team, you're kind of saying, okay, we don't really have an answer right now. That's really what
that's why I think that's a sign of weakness. They should have never did that. You just openly admitted it's nothing we can do, and we know it's nothing we can do. We're just throwing this out there.
That's a game. In that game, they didn't have anything to do.
Even then, though, I'm saying though, like I don't even at no point in time do I want to show a sign of weakness. In a 7-game series, I don't want to show it in game 4. I don't want to show it in game 2. Definitely don't want to show it in game 6. That's what I'm saying. Like we kind of just stick to our guns. If you beating our ass, you beating our ass. I don't want it to get to the point where I'm openly admitting that, hey, we're scared right now. Like we're out of options. The only thing we can do is try to go to a last resort zone because you guys are knocking us around like this. I personally wouldn't want to do that psychologically and give them that type of advantage.
It's like the Thunder going to Hack a Lively, right? Is that a sign of
that should have worked, man? I don't know how Derek Lively started making free throws.
He's tough. He's built tough.
Oh my god,
built tough as fire.
But I mean,
chasing him around the court.
Yes, but also like the 1 second that they took him off the court, I think the Nuggets had the Thunder had like one of the easiest baskets they've had all game. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't play without him, and he made him pay for playing with him. But I'm saying, like, may I suggest, the formula with Aaron Gordon of how do you make Aaron Gordon a threat is not rocket science, is how you make any non-shooter a threat. You put the ball in their hands and you ask them to create, right? Him bringing the ball up the court takes the pressure off of Jamal Murray, takes the reps off of Jamal Murray, all that full court pressure that they're putting on. It also takes one of your more elite, fluid point of attack defenders and takes them off of the rim, off of the backcourt pressure because they still have to guard Jamal Murray. it's also giving Jamal Murray a little bit more time to roam. And sometimes I feel like as good as Anthony Edwards is as a defender, he doesn't navigate screens and off ball as well as, you know, Jalen McDaniels does. Jaden McDaniels, my bad. And so I just think that it's been an elite adjustment. I think like there's been a lot of adjustments that I commend in the playoffs so far.
They're comfortable. I think that's what the Wolves bank on is their physicality and their aggressiveness. The
refs swallowed the whistle the first two games. They started calling fouls.
Nuggets have also been more physical in the last.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the advantage the Wolves have is physicality, length, and defense.
Yes, that's
right now. The Nuggets are saying we're more physical, we're just as big, and we're more skilled than you are. So
and they added 1 foot to all their spacing. Everyone is 1 foot further apart, and it just makes everything impossible. It's just like there's like a critical mass in which, like, you know, I think back to the movie Titanic sometimes, and there's like this scene where they're talking about how fucked they are, and they say, 4 compartments, she can stay float, but the 5th one, she's gonna sink, right? I think of that as the greatest basketball analogy ever, right? So it's like you can stop it if we stop ourselves. So if the Boston Celtics,
then you miss all the shots you don't take. So
I think that's better than that. But I mean, like with the Celtics, right? Like if the Cavaliers are going to stop the Celtics are going to have poor spacing. If the Celtics properly space their offense, I don't think the Cavaliers defenders can be as effective. And so it's always going to come down to spacing and offensive execution. And might I argue that maybe the Denver Nuggets have not played their best game of this series yet? And I have a feeling
I think they have. I think it's game 3. I think that's
I think Jokic played. Jokic maybe has played his. Maybe Jokic played his best game because I expected Jokic to be a little less effective.
Little less what? Well, no. What's the difference though? Like, what's the change? Then what would make Jokic worse? He's not even hitting his jump shots yet.
He's hitting those jump shots. He missed them in the first 2 games.
He's literally not hitting his.
He's hit a couple
from 10 feet out. He's not hitting a shot yet.
Yeah, maybe more. Maybe more.
That's been sort of a trend on the season, though.
Y'all not selling me that the best defense in the NBA, up 2-0 in the series, goes back home, and that don't let that score fool you. It was way worse than that. That they went in there and basically it was way worse than that. They went in there and stomped them because what they did was not only did they match the physicality, we were able to get our action going. And we got everybody going. The idea that Denver hasn't played their best game, if it gets better than
playoffs, you don't think they can play better than this?
If it gets better than what I saw in Game 3.
Wait, I don't understand.
Denver are a really good team. Like we gotta remember, for whatever reason, everyone wrote off Denver. Me personally, I've been saying the whole play. I want to see OKC versus Minnesota. I'm not hiding that. That's the series I want to see.
Yeah, that's an agenda. We know you, Mark.
But yeah, I'm just telling you what I want to see. Now, is it going to happen? It's not looking likely either way. But
I want Tatum to be the best ball forward in the league.
But like for me, like to write off Denver, the fact that we were having discussions that Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns were the answer to Nikola Jokic, and that the answer to Jokic has been simple for years, that you just need big men, is ridiculous. Like I don't know how we can watch Jokic and claim to know the game of basketball and say the answer to Jokic has been simple for 4 years, and for some reason no one else has figured it out but us on Player's Choice, that the answer is we need bigs. Like apparently we're better basketball minds than the whole NBA because we're the ones who realize, oh, we just need bigs, and all of a sudden Jokic is a mediocre big man. No, like Jokic he breaks your defense. If there's the games where he has to adjust, sure. Was he great in game 1 and 2? No. Was it probably his worst playoff games that I've seen in a while? Yes. Game 5 against the Lakers were pretty bad. But does that mean that now we have the formula for Jokic and that's what you do? No. I remember game 1 against the Lakers last year, they told me the formula was Rui. And then guess what? It wasn't Rui. So don't go ahead and tell me that everyone was questioning, oh, is Jokic really that guy? Everyone was saying he's this good offensively. Is he that guy? All of a sudden, oh yeah, Jokic is really good.
And it was funny. It was mostly weirdly, some of it was Hakeem fans, but a lot of it was Warriors fans. Like it's like a vindication about the Steph thing. I'm just like, I really don't know. But that's what I'm saying. Like I think at this point, Chill, this is what I'm telling you. If Jokic is figuring you out and he's comfortable and he's played versus Rudy for several years and Cat for several years, like think about it. They've been playing against each other since 2015. And then that's what I'm saying. Like, these are all old foes that he's already dismantled. So I think the idea that he was somehow not going to keep going like this, and he had 16 points in the fourth quarter, easily could have been 20. Easily, if he would have just shot the ball more. He has 16 points. I think he missed one shot in the fourth quarter, and then missed two. Then he got a rebound on the second one and went to the free throw.
Yeah, the one he rebounded. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, man. Like he's gonna be a locomotive the rest of the series, and I just think at this point, like the momentum is he's carrying. He's just a train.
Well, now
and that's not me saying Denver's gonna win the series. I haven't made a prediction on the series. I'm keeping it that way. I'm not making.
You guys get your last takes off. I know Penn, you got something to say. Chill, sounded like you had something to say, and then I gotta ask my question about this series.
Okay, I definitely think I'm gonna pick Denver to win this series, and the reason for that is that game 2 smacking, right? It's like, it's a weird thing, but they had too much time off. They had to absorb so much vitriol, so much stuff. That pain that's stuck with them. You can tell that they have come out as a more desperate team. It's kind of weird to be an NBA champion that's suddenly the underdog in a series, but that's what the media and that's what the betting sites have made them. They've made them into an underdog. And it's like, when you're the better team and you're perceived to be the underdog, that's a pretty good recipe to win. And that, I say this, to say that they didn't play two good games in front of their home crowd. So their home crowd was left quite dissatisfied. Now they're coming back with all the momentum in the series. Whether Anthony Edwards wants to admit that or not, they do have the momentum in this series. And I don't feel like they're about to say, let's learn the hard lesson of taking, the Wolves lightly again. I don't think they want a repeat of what happened to them after game 2. And now that the Wolves have shown them that they're willing to step on their neck, I don't think they're going to take them lightly again for the rest of the series. And it's like, if they don't take them lightly, I'm telling you, they haven't played their best game yet. They're coming back. Jamal Murray has not played his best game. He's probably 60% right now, every game. And I think, what Swiper, I believe, said, which is truly almost word for word what I said, like after game 2, is like, the longer this series goes, the better Jokic is going to get, because he's figuring shit out. And it's like, that's the thing with all great players, whether you're talking Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, whatever. It's like, the longer you go, the more you get a feel for what they're doing against you, the less of an advantage for them, the more of an advantage for you. So I feel like in a 7-game series, this is Denver. In a 6-game series, it's probably still Denver. So I don't see a way that the Wolves will win this will win this series.
To your point, going back home, we're gonna hear, because again, let's not forget, Joker did win the league MVP. So Adam Silver's gonna be in the building, and we're gonna hear the MVP chants. In the process of us hearing the MVP chants, I feel like that's gonna be an energizer for Denver. But the difference is you punched me in the face. You punched me in the face the last time we were here. I'm more prepared to get punched in the face. I'm sorry. I'm more. Is
that your pager?
I'm more prepared to get punched. I thought I turned that down. I'm sorry. I'm more prepared to get punched in the face this time than I was last time. It's not that we took you guys lightly. I'm just more prepared to get punched in the face like you did. And I have a counter for that now. Now, the question is can Minnesota be better offensively? And can it not? Because it shouldn't have to be Anthony Edwards scoring 40. That shouldn't have to be that. That should not be the case. I don't buy the logic that Jamal Murray hasn't had his best game. I'd like to think that Jaden McDaniels has done a damn good job on him. I'd like to think he's done a really good job chasing him around screens, making it difficult on him. Now, don't get me wrong. We're talking about a Denver team that's one of the better offenses in the game, right? We're talking about and with the best player in the league. So they're going to get shots. They're going to get buckets. But we're also talking about a Minnesota team that has the best defense in the league. Now, is my offense better than your defense when I match the physicality offensively?
Hell yes. Here's the thing, man. Like,
real quick. I'm still going.
Chill. Wait,
Which
president called you? Chill.
That was Andrew Jackson. That was Andrew
George Washington called.
No, that was Andrew Jackson.
Rosa Parks called you.
No, that was Andrew Jackson right there. That was Andrew Jackson. But again, I'm thinking about really quickly. I'm thinking about how good Denver's defense is and how good how good Minnesota's defense is and how good Denver's offense is. If they could slow them down and Cat be more viable.
But how are they scoring on Denver's defense if they have a
that's the difference right there. That's the difference. That's the thing that we have to solve. Because the action is good, Swiper. I feel like the action is good. The question is converting. Anthony Edwards actually knocking down the long ball. I mean, that's something that's got.
Hey, bro, that man? I'm telling y'all, bro. He's Devin Booker right now. He's settling into these 3-pointers.
Right. I haven't seen that. I have not seen that.
He's doing that. There's no, you're not
right.
Guarding
him knocking down the long ball. And him running to the rim and dunking over people. If Cat can be more viable, whether it's in the mid post, whether it's in the long ball, I feel like because the reason why I'm saying this, Wiper, I'm going off what I saw in the first 2 games. I'm not going off of what I saw a year ago. I'm going off what I saw in the first 2 games. That's why I picked Minnesota. And to both of you guys' point, I picked the opposite because I felt like Minnesota's defense is going to wear on these guys, not just Joker. I feel like it's going to wear on all of these guys as the series goes on. That's why I picked Minnesota.
You picked them before the series?
Yeah,
yes.
He did.
He hasn't gone to the finals.
They heard that you said some of y'all said they were going to get swept, and Jamal, who sees everything, was like, "All right, bet, cool."
Yeah, sweep is insane. But shout out to Wolves, man.
So Pin, you got the Nuggets in how many games?
6.
This dude calls me. He know I'm working. He knows
6 or 7. I can't.
No, I'm working.
I'm inclined to say 7. I feel like maybe if I'm just saying, like, how Minnesota scored in those first 2 games was so much of self-inflicted wounds by Denver. Poor spacing, a lot of turnovers, and you're just fueling their offense, and they're getting out in transition. But you don't give them those transition breaks. You don't give them that transition offense. You turn that off by cutting your turnovers down, by you have the size. Theoretically, you have a huge front court. I've never seen Denver look small. I felt them being small in the first 2 games, but they're a bigger team in theory. Jokic is like the most physical player on the court. He still is. He can still body Cat. I think he can still body Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert. And so if he can control the glass and he can just show up defensively and communicate and, slap down, I just don't see a counter to their offense. And at some point, the team, is the tried and true, thing about basketball that my grandfather told me once. He said, the team that scores most always wins the game, undefeated. You got to outscore them. Pardon?
That's kind of the way that works. Whoever has the most points at the end wins.
But that's my point. Is like your defense can be great, but if you can't put the ball in the basket, and it's just like at this point, like even if you say Anthony Edwards is like, I'm amazed by this guy. I'm really amazed. Like I don't think it's a Devin Booker type of thing where it's going to fall apart after a couple of years or whatever.
It's not that it fell apart. Devin Booker just had an all-time scoring start to the playoff. That's all that means. Anthony is not reaching that level, but he's close to it.
Well, I mean, like if you look at overall impact, I think Anthony Edwards is absolutely matching what Devin Booker did. When you look at both sides of the basketball.
I'm just talking about shooting. I'm just purely talking about shooting. Scoring.
I'm talking. Okay, so fair enough. Like I'm not talking about them as shooters because Devin Booker is a shooter and Anthony Edwards, he isn't a shooter. He's an all around guard. He's an attack guy. He's a slasher. He's an athlete. Whatever. But I'm saying like I feel like I'm watching one of the greats come up right now at 22.
No.
Pardon?
Yeah, one of the greats coming up. I got you. I thought you said one of the greats now, like Wade 06, 4th year type. Deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I'm about to watch. Like I'm gonna be telling my kids like I watched him do this, and then I saw him blow it, and then I saw him be better for it. 5 years from now, and he won championships. I have no doubt that he's gonna be the face of the league. Within a couple of years. But it's like that old Apollo Creed quote: "You fight great, but I'm a great fighter."
Those two things are not the same.
Hey,
it's not the same.
Wait, chill. What's the dude in San Antonio say? Shea Bone, Mr. Face
man,
of the League.
They ain't not making a French person the face of the league, man. I ain't got it.
Man. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear it. Stop.
I ain't got it, man. I ain't got it. I ain't got
Yo,
it.
Mars.
That's why it's necessary for Minnesota and the Boston Celtics to be in the NBA Finals for that reason, right there.
They Jason Tatum and Ant. They need an American. It's got to be an American face. It's going to be an American face. No matter how Wemby can be the face of the European brands. Yeah, cool. I'm the face. I'm gonna be the face. It's cool.
Mars and Swiper. I need you guys to tell me who wins this series and how many games as of now.
Well, Marston, he's going to keep the same energy. I said Nuggets in 6, so I'm going to maintain what I said before the series.
So Nuggets shut them out in the next 2 games.
I mean, I said Nuggets in 6. When we flip flop like somebody that come up here on this panel, that's a no show today. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that.
Interesting.
Hey, no phone calls today. No phone calls today. All right, bet. Literally.
Oh yeah, he did make a phone call last week, man. Low-key, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I count that as ducking. Even though he's not meant to be on the show today, he called last week. So I don't know why he ain't called this week. I'm gonna swipe on him.
Sounds like you ducking the smoke.
I ain't gonna lie, that's ducking.
Hey, you hear everything, right?
I ain't gonna lie. I forgot about that. I forgot about
boss,
that.
baby. Bottle boss. Check the rating. Check the numbers. Check the numbers, Ron. Check the numbers.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that one. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, he ducking for sure. Yeah.
So Mars, you have the Wolves in 7.
Whoever wins is losing to OKC, so I don't care.
Is J-Dub playing again? Is he playing today?
Yeah.
He's good. Okay, just making sure he's fine. Make sure.
So like I said, I've been very clear on not making predictions in these series. Other than OKC going to the finals, I ain't made it a prediction. I'm Philly, but I was wrong about that one. So we'll forget that one. OKC, yeah. Whoever wins, yeah. They lose into OKC, but I want the series to go to 7 games. See, haters gonna hate, man. But
I'm not hating. I'm watching Luka get killed by Lou Dort.
Yeah, and that's gonna continue.
Lou Dort
to
has
happen.
fouled out on every single possession of the game. If they call every single foul,
and they aren't gonna call them. They aren't gonna call the fouls. They aren't gonna call the fouls.
Well, we just saw it with this series. If they start calling the fouls, Lou Dort's gonna have to adjust. And by the way,
cross that bridge when the time comes. We'll cross that bridge.
He's beating him while he's fouling. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the Thunder have a chance, man.
We about to get into that series in a second. I gotta read some super chats. Also, got to shout out everybody that's in the chat. Go ahead and like that video.
Ask me how I
haven't
liked it. You didn't even say that.
You said you did. You said you got the Wolves.
You said you got the Wolves. Then you had your phone call from Andrew Jackson. We remember, yeah. I'm just waiting to get to this draft lottery. I really don't care about the playoffs.
Latest swipe.
All right, Swiper.
All right, y'all. See y'all
I really don't care about these playoffs. Draft lottery happened. That's the biggest highlight. So I'm just waiting for us to get into that.
All right, y'all. Like I said, like the video if you haven't. Shout out to everybody that's in here, all 2,000 plus people. Y'all are the real MVPs in the chat. Clearly clears. Also, we're on playback today, as we've been all weekend. Y'all be sure to pull up PC Football at 5:15 Eastern time. Go ahead and check them out. And then obviously we got the OKC Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks tonight at 9:15 Eastern time. My man JD will be there holding it down. And who knows, it might be a couple sneaky cameos. But y'all pull up to playback.tv, join the Players Choice Room, and go check out both of them episodes, shows, and games on playback later tonight. We're going to be on playback all weekend or all week. It's going to continue to go up. It's been some good games. We've been having a good time over there. Y'all continue to show up and show out. Drink more water with the super chat. He said, is game-to-game momentum a real thing? How can you say Minnesota had all the momentum entering game 3 and now Denver has all the momentum entering game 5? I think momentum is a separate game to game and only happens in the game.
I have to defer to you guys on that one. I've never been in a basketball series, so I
is drinking water spitting?
No, I don't think so. We've absolutely said game that's how series change. It's not just game to game. I mean, a prime example, I'm thinking about the 2016 finals. That series changed when after game 5, after game 6, now they have all the momentum going into game 7 after those 2 games, as opposed to previous to that, Warriors had all the momentum the first 2 games, first 2 or 3 games. So it's absolutely a real thing.
No, I agree with that. It is a real thing. And I mean, we saw it with Minnesota and Denver, right? It's like after game 2, you know, like why in a game would you call a timeout? Why would you call a full timeout when a team goes on a, why did Malone call a timeout when Minnesota came out and hit their first 3 or 4 threes in the third quarter, right? Mm-hmm. It's to stop the momentum. It's to sit guys down. It's to cool them off, put them on ice a little bit, you know, have them sit down and then have to restart that motion, right? So to me, momentum is just putting someone in motion or out of motion, right? And that's the thing. Like, it's almost like the NBA put the Wolves on ice after game 2 and just said, sit for 4 days and think about this. And that is calling that broke momentum. I'm pretty firm that the Nuggets probably get swept if game 3 is like
2 days after. Later. Was 2 days later. Yes.
You wouldn't have had enough time to recover emotionally from what happened to you, and you might have come over with a hangover. I'm not saying for sure, but I'm saying like it would have been more likely. But that 4-day pause, and Anthony Edwards mentioned it yesterday, that mattered. You know what I mean? And right now it's like I fully think the Dallas Mavericks have the momentum, man.
When you have that kind of thing going on in a series, Ron, I said this to you before. The reason why the Lakers lost to the 76ers in 2001 in the NBA Finals, because Game 7 was on Sunday. Game 1 of the NBA Finals was 2 days later.
So the 76ers was still rolling from the previous series?
The Lakers hadn't played in 10 days. They hadn't played in 10 days, as opposed to if they had gotten going right afterwards. There's a reason why Philly didn't win another game for the rest of the series.
Because Eric Snow couldn't save the day again. But besides the point.
MP13 said, Gilbert needs to be studied. I've never seen someone hate European players so much. People should need to go get a license to start a podcast or something, because he's just out here being weird as hell.
What did he do? No. What did he do now?
He said they should ban all Europeans from the NBA.
I seen that. But
he also flashed a text from Nikola Jokic saying that from one of Jokic's teammates, allegedly saying that Jokic just wants to go home. He don't want to be here.
I seen him say that like Jokic is like
which
the
is
worst
pretty fun.
MVP or something.
That too.
Which is
that too. I've seen a lot of people say that Jamal Murray is the better player.
What?
Better player than who? Than Joker?
Better player than Jokic. But that's what I'm saying. If you watch Gilbert Arenas play, and I watch Gilbert Arenas play a lot, and I was playing basketball when he was ascending, so I kind of admired the guy before the whole gun incident, paternity incidents, all the stuff that went on off the court about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I admired the shit out of this guy as a basketball player who made himself into Hibachi. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, all of this European slander is my bad. Now
I need someone to call me. Hey,
my bad. So that's what I'm saying. Like I just think like all of this European slander is it's finding a base because it exists already, and he's just like he's whistling to his base right now, and it's like no matter how stupid what you got to say, there's always going to be some pocket of people who agree with you, right? And it's unfortunate that what he's saying is not getting him canceled. It's not.
We've never had Gil on here just because I'm European and Gil keeps refusing because.
Well, Mars, you're not European. You're English. Those two things are not the same thing. You're from Europe. You're from England.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Gilbert Arenas would classify those as being the same thing. So
I'm pretty sure Gilbert Arenas couldn't point out England on a map.
Neither could I, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. No. Cameron Thompson became a member. Shout out to Cameron. Appreciate you for coming through. Tyrone Winston also became a member today. Damu became a member. Young Choco? Young Choco. Young Choco, whatever. Hey, appreciate you for coming through, Young. Also, the beloved Jeffries also became a member. Shout out to all of you guys for becoming members today. If you haven't become a member yet, go ahead and join that Hall of Fame tier. Be a Hall of Famer. Why just be an all-star when you could be a Hall of Famer? Just doesn't make sense. Also, we got some members chats. Tyler T, shout out Tyler T. He's been a member for 2 months. He's active in the group chat all the time. I'm a big Tyler T fan. He's a cool guy, but he simply said, Jokic better.
Accurate.
Also, another member
things too, man. He just is like a lot of stuff that you watch. If you watch Joker, if you never watched basketball before and you watch Joker, he is fun to watch, man. Yes,
he better, man. Just say he better. Like he's better. Like that's the best way to describe it. All this, he does this. He better, man. He better. Like I've got bored of just explaining why he's better. If you see it, you see it. He better.
Until he meets Chet Holmgren.
Oh, then he's not bad. Yeah. Then he's not bad. Chet better. Yeah.
JDCFs, he's been a member for 2 months. He said something very enlightening. He said, Ron, keep pushing these Tyrese healthy burden agendas.
Ron ain't gonna stop doing that. He's not going to stop doing that. Let's.
If they make the finals, I ain't gonna lie.
Mars, I might have to disappear if the Indiana Pacers are in the finals because I can tell you right now, this nut over here is going to be unbearable.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. They can get swept in the finals if they make it.
I took a 1,500 to 1 bet that the Dallas Mavericks would beat the Indiana Pacers in the finals. I'm not going to tell you for how much, but it was just an idea that it could happen in the weirdest world that we live in right now. Let's see if it happens.
If they win the finals,
no. Dallas beats Indiana. Yo, if in that series, if Indiana beats Dallas, I'm gonna be the most pissed person in the world.
If Indiana win a chip,
if Indiana wins the NBA championship, I'm convinced that. Oh my!
I'm here for it. I'm here for it because I have no horse in these playoffs. If Indiana win, hey, shout out to Indiana, man.
You guys do know I'm gonna be at the front of that parade, right?
There is no call.
Doing the Halley skip. Y'all remember that skip?
I think you're gonna show up to the parade, and then they're gonna tell you that Indiana got bounced 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, what are you doing?
And there's no one there.
Right.
Yeah, what are you doing?
They're gonna be like, well, this parade is actually
Indiana wins the championship.
In Boston. What are you doing here?
There is no cause and effect. The world is flat. I'm really not dark skinned. I'm really light skinned. I'm telling you right now, if Indiana wins the NBA championship. That's what's going on.
Shout out to Indiana, man. Shout out to Indiana.
Only thing I do know is we'll see you Cleveland next round. But we'll talk about that next. We'll get there. We'll get there. Couple more super chats. The Tribe One said, do y'all think the Wolves would trade Cat if they lose this series? If so, who do you think it will be for? Shout out to Ant for leading them at 22.
Cat has one bad game.
He's been leading them since he was 20.
Cat has one bad game and he in trade talks. That's tough.
I understand.
He's been in trade talks.
Yeah, I understand the whole.
Yeah, because normally he plays bad in the whole playoffs.
And he hasn't. He's actually been really good these playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually been really good these playoffs. And I understand that Anthony Edwards is now the guy, and you basically don't need Cat, so we can build this unit around Anthony Edwards and play differently. I'm good.
MP13 said, you know the game is cooked when Jokic starts dunking the ball. I saw that and I said, yeah, it's over.
I've seen Jokic dunk on Ant before I seen Ant dunk on Jokic.
Mars, there's no way that's happening. Joker running down the gut. Joker running down the gut and throwing it on Anthony Edwards. No.
It's the highest he's jumped in his whole life.
Give me a break.
Insane. Shout out to Jokic.
Jokic,
he better.
Man, I say, hey,
he better.
Athleticism coming in. What is this, year 9 for Jokic?
He showed up in 15.
He hit puberty last week.
He showed up in 15.
He came in 15-16. He got drafted in 14, but came to the league in 15-16. It's like 8 years, 9 years.
This is all your fault, Gilbert. Now Jokic's gonna start coming through doing 360 dunks.
Between the legs, next game, like Obi Toppin.
That dunk was crazy, by the way. We never even spoke about that. East Bay in game in the playoffs is ridiculous.
Hey, if you were there,
it looked easy too, didn't it, Mo?
If you were there in the playback, because I was doing this game, I said Obi was going to get a windmill or through the legs dunk on a fast break in the series. And it literally happened 5 minutes later. If you was there, you know, if you were there. Shout out.
I'm surprised.
And then they gave up a three on the very next play.
The very next play.
Yo, the momentum of that game swung the second he did that dunk. It started to edge back in the Knicks' favor. I'm telling you. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how Rick Carlisle felt about that.
Negative impact dunk.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I know how he felt about that.
But shout out Obi though. Obi showing the Knicks that they.
You do that at home. You don't do that on the road. You don't do that on the road when
you don't really get that opportunity very often. If it's there, you take it.
I mean, fast break does happen.
Let me save it for Indianapolis. Like, nah, if I got it, I'm taking it. I don't know what to tell you.
But you
also got to understand the context of that too, Pin. I played for the Knicks this season and y'all trade, or was it last season? I played for the Knicks previously, and y'all basically got rid of me. Y'all didn't want me. Now I'm here, and I'm not just here playing against you guys in the playoffs. I'm balling against you guys in the playoffs. I'm in the Garden. I get a fast break dunk. I'm a former dunk champion. I used to get the people on their feet in here. I used to catch alley-oops and turn things up and all of that. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna show you guys what you're missing. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a taste of what it used to feel like when the other teams used to see this. Now it's you guys.
Maybe that makes sense
Merry
if you're the better team, not when you're the worst team that caught. Like I'm sorry. Like,
2-2 series.
There's a game within a game here. I don't think that necessarily helped Indiana's momentum in that game. I think it got the Knicks crowd really antsy and into it, and I think it got the Knicks players kind of on like, oh, you doing that now? Come here and let me. It's like you got to know your opponent too. There are some teams out there that would fold after you do that. Like that would be a backbreaker for them, right? It's like not the Knicks though. Like for the Knicks, that's a challenge.
You should have just went and laid it up.
No, I'm not saying lay it up, but like, don't like. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna go out and you're gonna try to humiliate your opponent, it helps to know that you're him, number one, and number two, who is your opponent. You know, there was like I get the bravado, I get the puff your chest and be a man and don't show no weakness, et cetera, and no one's asking you to lay it up, but at some point there was a reason why players were advised do not talk to Michael Jordan. There was a reason, because that fuels him. You don't want to give him additional fuel. Like, this is a guy who could take nice game Mike as an insult. So you don't want to be egging that on. And I'm just saying, like, the Knicks, you caught him sleeping a little bit in game one. Don't milk it too much, because you might wake him up. There's that old don't poke the bear. We used to say it all the time about Kyle Lowry, don't poke the bear, because that's a guy who got on a little bit of an aggressive streak, like every game where like he would do these crazy things. Like Kyle Lowry would take a charge, then he would like have this tip ball, then he would have a steal, then he would like hit a big three, and it's like the next thing you know, it's like 2 minutes and he swung the entire game around, and it's all because he didn't get a right call or some player hit him too hard on a foul, and it's just like don't poke the bear, right? There's just certain players who respond really well in certain teams, identity-wise. Like, we know who these teams are at this point. We played 82 games. I don't think the Knicks are the type of team that you want to embarrass. Just saying.
If you're Indiana, you definitely want to embarrass them.
Yeah. If you're Denver, maybe, whatever, they respect you, but I don't think the Knicks respect Indiana like that.
No. With that being said, Obi, you get another fast break. Do the same thing again.
Yo, he did something that you
don't do it.
Park, he really did something that you do at the park. So the next time you come in here, clotheslining you.
I think the next time you do that, Josh Hart might pin you to the backboard.
Mm-hmm.
Young Choco said, I can't wait for when Ticket will be back, or will backtrack his statement again, just so he can act like he was right the whole time. Nuggets in 6.
No, he's just gonna say that these 2 games don't improve anything. The series is tied, and that Jokic is still a fraud.
All right. Well, we'll find out tomorrow. Oh, and by the way, we got a very special guest today too, but we got another special guest tomorrow as well. So
come through.
Yeah, hey, y'all be ready for that. Y'all been asking for it, so I deliver. When y'all ask for things, I deliver. By the way, Penn, did you know that you are the subject of a TikTok that's going like uber viral right now?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Would you like to see it?
Please.
He knows it was him.
What do you mean?
I mean, I guess.
Please.
What do you mean it was me? Or is it?
You're the star of the TikTok. I'm pretty sure you know.
Is it my top 10?
Yes.
Let me go ahead and put this on the screen and play it for those.
Damn, I really wish my lighting wasn't so bad. Damn.
Let me know if y'all can hear this. Let me make sure. Make a full screen for you. There we go. Y'all can hear that?
No. You got it. Worth on this, but I'm gonna go with Russell.
All right, hold on.
Number one, Michael Jordan. Number 2, I'm a little torn because I went back and forth on this, but I'm gonna go with Bill Russell at number 2 and let everybody lose their mind. Yep. That's a good edit. Number 3, LeBron. Number 4, Tim Duncan. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Number 6, Kareem. Number 7, Larry Bird. Number 8, Steph Curry. Number 9, Shaquille O'Neal. And the number 10, I could not decide between Dirk, Garnett, and Wilt. So I'm just.
But hold on.
That means he has Kobe at like 14 because he's been back between 3 people at 10. Which means they would run to be 11 and 12. Which means where Kobe? Okay.
Run your list back from 1 to 10.
Jordan, Bill Russell, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird. People about to lose their mind. Shaquille O'Neal, and one of either Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, or Wilt, or Arvydas Sabonis.
No logic.
One of those 4.
What's the criteria for your list?
Greatness. I could put Kobe in that confusing list too, but he would not be at the top of that list for sure.
You say greatness is your criteria?
Yeah, greatness is my criteria.
What do you think greatness is?
Eat your crackers, man. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, personally, okay. I've made a top 10 list many times. Hakeem is almost always on my top 10 list. I don't know how I left him off this list. I apologize. He is really great, and frankly, I should have him over KG.
Nah, it's no backpedaling now. No.
It's fine. I made my list there, but I'm
not top 15.
But Kobe for sure. I mean, I should have put Kobe in that conversation for the final, but I said at the end he would not be at the top of that list, and I mean it. That's just where I'm at with it. I could be.
Here's the thing, man. I like you talked about with Brian.
Sure, gonna agree with you.
Like you talked about. I mean, Chamberlain not being in the top 10 is nuts to me. But okay. I mean, that's what it is. But KG over Kobe Bryant, no, I ain't doing that.
It's just like, okay, here's what I'm saying. KG had here's the thing.
Curry over Kobe Bryant, I'm not doing that.
Bro, this is the thing though. Organizations, there's that old Jerry Krause, Michael Jordan thing. Organizations win championships, no players win championships. Right. I think organizations put players in positions to win championships. Right. Yes. So I see Michael Jordan get bounced year after year after year until you put Phil Jackson, the triangle offense, you put competent defenders, you put Bill Cartwright, no matter how much shade he gets, you put Scottie Pippen, you put a lot around him. Mm-hmm. And despite Jordan protesting, Tony Kukoc helped. So I'm saying you got all this around you and you were successful. I'm saying this, KG, I know he caught a lot of slack because he didn't win a championship in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Look at those Minnesota teams. Look at how much that Joe Smith thing set him back with the draft picks and whatnot, and it would have been. But he's had several competent rosters around him. He had one competent roster the second year in Boston. Got to the finals both times, right? Won a chip, right? And then there was that very, very small window, in my opinion, in Minnesota, where they put some competent players around him with Latrell Sprewell and Sam Cassell. And that team made it to the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm saying, like, in a different world, we might be talking about Kevin Garnett a little bit differently if he didn't play in a small market, maybe if he played in New York. You know what I mean? If he played with J. Kidd, the thing we said about earlier, talking about Rudy Gobert, perspective, right? You're talking about an individual in the team context. Saying, he's a bum, he can't do this, he can't do that, he didn't have a post move. Fine, I agree with that. He's not a post player. Neither is Zach Edey for if we're going to talk about the draft. But you look at his rim percentage. What does Rudy Gobert shoot around the rim? It's like 69%. That's like 10% above league average. So in a different world, is Rudy Gobert talked about offensively like DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler if he plays with an elite passer? Like if he's not playing with Donovan Mitchell, who's a fine playmaker, but not Luka level. He's not
playing with Chris Paul, or if he's
exactly. So now we're not talking about his offense. Now we're not talking about how limited he is offensively and how you can play him, because he's a threat. He's a threat. He's a lob threat. He's a roll threat. So that's what I'm saying. Like we got these, very rigid standards for what a great player looks like. Oh, he got to have this many championships. Yesterday I was talking about this on one of my lives, and people were like, "Yo, you wild for putting Arvydas Sabonis in the top 15." And so what I did was I played a 10-minute clip of young Arvydas. And literally the first clip of that is him breaking a backboard. And people need to watch this guy play when he was young before they comment, because his son, who is not half the player that he is, and every deficiency that Domantas Sabonis has, Arvydas Sabonis had as a strength. You say Domas can't shoot. Sabonis could shoot. His dad could shoot. You say Domas is maybe not tall enough. His dad was 4 inches taller than him. You say Domas, he can't defend. His dad was an elite defender. It's not his fault that he came over to the league when he was damn near 30 and he had no legs. And he was still a top 6 center in the league for a while. In a time when Hakeem, Ewing, you know what I mean? I mean, we got people putting Ewing over guys like Jokic. And I'm just like, what are we talking about here? Big markets, championships, finals runs, all these things matter, but you do it as a team. So I'm sorry, like you can't divide the individual from the team. Hakeem had some incredible players around him, incredible. And no matter what Kenny the Jet Smith says, I have my doubts whether they win any championships if Michael Jordan doesn't retire. I think maybe they could have gotten one, maybe, because I don't know what the Bulls do with Hakeem. But to me, it's like you play with Clyde Drexler, You play with Robert Horry. You play with all those great players. You play with a great coach like Rudy Tomjanovich. You had a lot. You had a lot of opportunities to get back to the finals. How many times did you go there? So, like, if you compare Hakeem Olajuwon's supporting cast to Kevin Garnett's supporting cast to the greatness that was Tim Duncan's supporting cast, how do you put Big Ticket at the very bottom of that because his team didn't successfully build around him? That's when I say individual greatness and team success has to be separated in some way. But you can't individually say, okay, this player sucks because they didn't make the playoffs.
We gotta remember too about what Tim Duncan had when he first got to San Antonio, right? So
he had David Robinson,
right?
He had a lot of help around him.
David Robinson wasn't what he was before Tim Duncan showed up there. He had a back injury.
Yeah, he wasn't the top 3 player in the NBA.
He wasn't like that.
Player in the NBA.
He still was really damn good.
Bro scored 70 points.
But yeah, he did that 3 years ago when he was still. He did that.
The worst 70-point game of all time, but
when he was still awesome. But
second one.
The point I'm making is that when you talk about viable rosters, I mean, the year that they won the NBA championship, he had 4 guys: Jerome Kersey, Avery Johnson, Mario Elie. I think he had 4 guys who were. These are legit journeymen. Mario Elie was on his 6th team. Avery Johnson was on his 4th team. Jerome Kersey, I think he was on his 7th team at that point. So, I mean, we're talking about like legit journeymen. Tim Duncan was in his 2nd year in the NBA when that actually happened. So then you fast forward to when they won it in 2003. We didn't know who Tony Parker was. We didn't know who Steven Jackson was. We didn't know who Manu Ginobili was. We didn't know who these guys were until they actually became what they were. We didn't know that. David Robinson was over at that point. It was Tim Duncan as the anchor. Now, when you're talking about putting together rosters, what they were doing in Minnesota with Kevin Garnett, I won't lie, the biggest thing that screwed Kevin Garnett up was losing Marbury. If Marbury stays in Minnesota, I think we're talking about him way differently than we're talking about him today. Had he stayed in Minnesota, I think that they would have built a more competent roster around him, as opposed to him now having them now having to scramble with guys like Terrell Brandon and Harrell, not Harrell, the guy that used to play in Chicago, guys like that, and
Hoiberg.
Yes, Hoiberg and guys like that, and now we have that because people only see Kevin Garnett as in Boston. He played 12 years in Minnesota. He didn't play 2 or 3 or 5 years. He played more than half his career in Minnesota, and they weren't building competent rosters around him. I'm sorry, they weren't building competent rosters around him. But when I think about individual players, because Mars and I go back and forth with this a lot. Unfortunately, when you're the best player, you take on the responsibility of the team being good, and you also take on the responsibility of the team being bad too. That's a gift and it's a curse. And it's a gift because when the team is good, you get all the credit. Like Jordan, for example, even though Jordan was on a bomb squad, but you take all the bad, like Kevin Garnett, when he just wasn't on really good teams. So that's the downside to it.
Well, here's my question for you: is how do you gauge? Like, I had to go to snippy response when I was asked what's greatness and whatever, but I think it's a valid question to ask. Is it peak or is it career? Because if you talk about career longevity, then maybe you can give the edge to guys like Nowitzki or whatever who did it for longer and sustained sort of an even keel level, right? Mm-hmm. If you're talking straight peaks, I don't know how you find 12, 13 people who had a better season or a better group of seasons than Kevin Garnett from 2001 to 2004. Like that's
I think he was like 20. I think he was 20. His peak was 23 and 13. Now, during that time, 23 and 13, today, that's like 28 and 15 or something. That's like
I'm not even looking at that because he wasn't like some super high volume guy. And it's like, if I'm gonna look at volume scoring, then I'm gonna put Jerry Stackhouse very high up in my list. I'm gonna put a lot of guys. So it's like he also played in the league when the pace crawled to like nil. Like we were seeing a lot of like 67, 85 type of games. So we're not comparing his numbers to Jokic or whatever. Right. I'm just saying straight impact. I watched a guy at the age of 33. He'd been in the league since he was 17, 18 years old. So 33 for a guy of his size who's taken the minute load that he took, who had deep playoff runs occasionally. Mm-hmm. I think he should be on the decline at 33. And I watched this guy anchor a championship defense in the ideal role. So in another world, in another era, is he a Bill Russell? Does he not have so many of the same qualities as a Bill Russell in terms of being able to pass, dribble, being able to run the break, being able to I'm just seeing like a different hypothetical world. If I could,
it seems like that's how you're basing your list on hypotheticals. Well, what if Kevin Garnett was in New York playing with Mark Jackson, or he was in San Antonio when he was playing with Ginobili and Tony Parker? Only except he wasn't. So I can't base my list off of guys who could have been doing this or possibly doing that. I got to base it off of what I've seen. Now, don't get me wrong. How much better would he have been? Now, if I give Kevin Garnett Rondo for 10 years, holy shit, we having a way different conversation. I'm sure of that. Or if I give him Marbury for 10 years, sure. Only except he had Terrell Brandon and he had Hoiberg and he had guys like that for years to come. So I can't base it off of that. Now, I also will never talk about a guy in terms of his longevity. I can never talk bad about a guy because you can never discount a guy doing something awesome for a long time. So if I'm doing something for 10, 12, 13 years at a high level, the fact that you did it for 3 or 4 years at this level, that doesn't supersede what I did for 12 years at this level. It can't do that. Now, you may have been better for 2 or 3 years, but for 12 straight years, I was awesome and you were just good. I never could go with that logic. That logic has never gone with me off the strength that I never can down a guy for doing something awesome for a long time, ever.
I think there's also, that's fair. And I think I've gone back and forth about the simulations of whether you could put Kevin Garnett, let's just port him and put him New York 90s in place of Patrick Ewing. Do they win a championship? Do they win 2 championships because he's better than Ewing? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I know that the Knicks went to the finals with Marcus Camby and that Kevin Garnett is 100 times better than Marcus Camby. I don't know. But what I'm saying is those pieces do matter and how they fit together matters. But I think that there's another thing that matters when it comes to greatness, which is how you impact the other people around you, which includes your fan base, your coaches, your stability, your stoic, nature, the confidence that you breed in your teammates, but also the fear that you put into the other team. And this is like a sort of intangible thing that maybe analytics and stats and box scores do not measure. But, Michael Jordan, we talk about you take on the identity of your best player, right? We're seeing that. Jokic, we're seeing that. Duncan, we're seeing that. And so I don't know. There's some guys where, it's just they feel like it's not on them. They can't be bothered. I think Kevin Durant is in that sort of category of, I'm not too concerned with what Bradley Beal's doing. That's on him. I'm not too concerned with what Draymond's doing. That's on him. And I feel like if you have that sort of thing, it's not shade against you, but maybe you lack the ability to raise everybody else around you, to hold people accountable and to be the standard that people hold themselves to.
Right.
And I look at people like Tim Duncan and I say that maybe his stats weren't the greatest, Duncan, but that winning, he was absolutely a part of it. And anyone who said it was just Pop, well, Pop ain't won shit without him. Right? Never won before he got here. Never won after he left. So even though he had the second best player in the league and he still had LaMarcus Aldridge and he had all those players, it all fell apart. The chemistry, the kumbaya, all of it. And I think it comes down to something Aaron Gordon said yesterday in the press conference, which I thought was very poetic, an incredible way to end that press conference where he said, and he was asked, how are you so unselfish? Like, you a top 4 pick, you were a star, you were a McDonald's All-American, you were very hype. How are you so unselfish? And Jokic walks in the door and he said, this guy.
He makes my job a lot less difficult. Yes.
Well, he said if a 3-time MVP can do it, I can do it too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like and that was something we heard about Duncan all the time. It's like if he can take the criticism, then I have to take it too. If Pop can yell at him, he can definitely yell twice as hard at me. And it's like it's when your star player has the Carmelo Anthony diva effect. No offense to Carmelo Anthony, he's just catching strays in this random conversation. But if he has that, I'm not willing to adapt, then why would anybody else? And I think that is the intangible of winning that often should be factored into the greatness conversation as well.
All right, y'all, we got to reel it back in. It was Penn, I definitely want to go over to playback, watch some Arvydas Sabonis highlights with you later this summer after the playoffs.
You got to do it. We got to do it. He shatters the backboard, bro.
Yeah. Think when you see Joker, that's Sabonis,
but more athletic and bigger.
That's him.
Mm-hmm. I seen him. Like my dad showed me a VHS when I was 5 years old, and we were watching 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, something like that. And he showed me this dude throwing a behind the back 80-foot pass and caught a guy right in his pocket. And I was like, this is what
Ron, why do you
looks
think
like.
the Dream Team was formed? Because that team in '88 in Olympics, they smoked the Americans, powered by Arvydas Sabonis.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry, Ron, if I interrupted you. Keep going.
Now we gonna get into it. You know, you guys know I love talking about guys like Sabonis, the older guys. I love talking about Europeans and stuff like that. But we in the midst of one of the better playoff runs in recent memory. We got a lot of good stuff going on. The plot is set. And tonight we got two good games. We got the Celtics and the Cavs. The Celtics are obviously up 2-1, but we got game 4 in Cleveland. So we got to talk about that tonight. And then we obviously got the Thunder and the Mavericks, and Dallas is leading 2-1. And this game is in Dallas. So I want to talk about the Dallas and Thunder series first. My man Clad Diamonds, he's on our case about this. So let's get into it. Mars, talk to me about this weekend, man. What happened in the last game of this series or two?
We just lost, man. It's tough. Like, it is what it is. I think our offense was a little bit stagnant. I don't like that. Playing into Dallas's hands, in my opinion, if we're not making them move, if we're not cutting, if we're not making guys have to be active and pay attention off the ball, where they can instead they can just plug gaps and they're not at risk of someone breaking their weak side defense. I think that's a problem. Josh Giddey is still playing. I don't know why, but whatever. And then hacking Derek Lively didn't stop them from scoring, which was a problem because I think it made sense. I mean, he couldn't make free throws all year in the playoffs in that game, and then all of a sudden it's time for him to start missing them when we need him. He don't want to miss because Kyrie was, oh my God, Kyrie. He did like 3 things in the fourth quarter that looked criminal. I don't know how he was able to do that. But I'm not overreacting to the series. I think we'll get back. I think we'll get back to some of our staples. We need to make our open threes. We were the best 3-point shooting team percentage-wise in the league. And in this series, other than like game 1, we haven't really been shooting the 3 out at the level I expect. But defensively, I'm not gonna lie, I'm relatively comfortable with everything except the let PJ Washington shoot strategy. Wow. That's not working.
PJ, boy.
Yeah.
Shout out PJ Washington.
Everything else, I'm relatively comfortable. But PJ, we got to respect PJ because he's destroying us.
Just so you know, Mars bleeds Houston Rocket red. He's been secretly having an affair with the Oklahoma City Thunder for the past. That's why you hear the term "we." But keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I've made my deal with the OKC fans. They know until I'm an OKC fan until June, and then I'm right back to Houston. I'm an OKC fan until June, and except for last night because of the draft lottery. But everything else, OKC.
So Mark, you just on spring break from your relationship?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just it's a mutual separation while Houston aren't playing. Mm-hmm. I'm an OKC fan. But yeah, I'm not overreacting. I think we're gonna respect PJ Washington. There's no way we're losing to the hands of PJ Washington. There's no way. And then what we can do is A, get Josh Giddey off the floor, and B, just go back to what our offense is, which is we got heavy movement off the ball. We're also still one of the best isolation teams in the league, but you can't load up on us because of how active we are on the weak side. So once we get back to that, and we also need to be attacking Luka consistently, we'll be all right. OKC in 6.
That's the most important thing right there, Mars. You just said it. Of all the things that you just said, the last thing that you said, that in a nutshell. Go after Luka. Do not let him off the hook. I don't care when it is, how it is. Go after Luka because Luka does not want to defend. It's bad enough that he's hobbled. On top of him being it's bad enough that he doesn't want to defend. Plus, he's hobbled too. Put Luka in as much action as possible. Make Luka as uncomfortable in one-on-one situations as possible. Now, I'm sure that the people recognize that OKC has made a conscious decision. Yo, we're going to lose by PJ Washington knocking down open shots. PJ Washington said, okay, this left corner, this is my spot. If you're going to leave me open, I am going to knock this down all night long. I'm going to make this more than I'm going to miss. I can guarantee you that. I love how both Derek Lively and Gafford, one, have been protecting the rim and have been aggressive around the rim. And I like how Kyrie Irving picks his spots when to get involved in the game. Like, he's not overexerting himself. He knows when to get involved in the game. But the thing I appreciate about him the most is his effort on defense. His effort on defense has become so much better this go around than I've seen in years, where he's actually getting in the passing lane. He's actually competing on defense one-on-one. He's not a cone, basically. So I really dig what I'm seeing from Kyrie Irving. And your rotation, and those rotation guys in Dallas, I think Jason Kidd has done a really good job in getting those guys in and out of the lineup. I thought that they were going to struggle without Max Kleber. But the fact that PJ Washington, not a rotation guy, but the fact that PJ Washington has been knocking down threes, and then you bring in Tim Hardaway, and then you bring in Green, who's also been knocking down threes. You bring those guys in, they make this thing so much better. I had Dallas in 6, and I'm still sticking with that. I think Oklahoma City can get another game. I feel like they could get another game because I feel like not just with Shea getting going, I feel like because J-Dub hasn't really played as good as he can play yet. And I know we almost halfway through the series, but I feel like he can play better. I think Chet has been doing a great job at the rim. He hasn't been stretching the defense like I thought he would.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to buy a 3 in the playoffs.
Yeah, he has not.
He due for one.
That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I'm thinking, Maul. So I think Dallas still wins this series. I had them in 6, and I'm sticking with that.
PJ Washington gonna be the death for me, man. I swear.
Hey, my thing though is PJ has never been a bad basketball player. He's never just been trash. Like it.
The problem is because he was
Ron, he shot 24% from the corner this season. He's shooting 47% in the playoffs.
Yo, what does he shoot? Just normal threes though. What does he usually shoot from 3?
This season he was at 32%, 31% in Dallas.
Shit. All right. Well,
I don't know how he doubled his 3. Okay, I know how. We're leaving him wide open, but 47%. He turned into Bruce Bowen on us. I don't know what we're meant to do.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Yo, but Penn, talk to me about game 4. Who do you think's gonna win?
Dallas. I think Dallas is gonna win. I think this series is over in 6. I think Dallas in 6. I think you have the better player. You have the best player in the series in Luka. He's not playing like it right now, though, right? But I think if he gets the further this goes, the healthier he gets, if he can get healthy, right? Daniel Gafford also needs to get a little bit healthy. I think they put a lot of force. I think the Thunder are who we thought they were, right? A little young, a little inexperienced. I think there are 4 real.
Mars. That's okay. You got a bunch of
kids. It's fine. Same energy when it's OKC and 6.
You got a bunch of kids, man. But keep going.
But they will continue to ascend. I fully agree. I fully agree that Josh Giddey has been a massive negative in terms of their spacing and how the Dallas Mavericks are choosing to not guard him. I think they navigated a little bit better in the last game, keeping him moving off the ball, but you really do need to put the ball in his hands if you're going to keep him on the floor. And I really don't think that's there's like diminishing returns on that too, because that means you got to take the ball out of Shea's hands and the ball out of J-Dub's hands, and you got too many creators on this team. I think they need to do some stuff this offseason. I think it's enough time with all this pick loading and all that stuff. If there's a star available, you probably go in for them. And yeah, a lot of people chirped them and said that at the deadline they should have added some size and some beef and whatever, behind Chet or around Chet. And they didn't.
Penn, what is a star going to cost Oklahoma City? I think it might cost too much.
I think
Giddey, the 12th pick this year, couple of firsts.
I mean,
you're not getting a star for Giddey.
Number one, you're a small market. Bigger picture, you're a small market. You're gonna have to pay all these guys. You're already paying Shea Supermax. Right. You're gonna have to pay J-Dub max. You're gonna pay.
That's
Chet.
down the line, though. That's down the line.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. 2 years away.
Yeah, that's why we milk it. That's exactly why we milk it, Penn. I know it's coming. Chet's still on his rook deal. J-Dub, he's in year 2 of his rook deal. So we got some time.
They're both on year 2 of their rookie deal just because he didn't play that first year and he didn't get paid. So they're going to both come up for an extension at the same time. And let's not ignore the fact that Kason Wallace is definitely going to get paid $25 million when he's ready. So it's like, and you got a lot of these cheap contracts, and they won a lot of these deals on the margins, like Isaiah Joe and et cetera. But once you are successful, that's the compromise of being successful, is now everybody's aware of your dudes. And now, teams are picking up all your pieces, right? That's what Denver went through last year. It's what every successful organization goes through. It's called brain drain, right? So suddenly the head of your scouting department is getting a GM job somewhere else. You lose a guy, and that's the cost of success. And so OKC is going to be successful for a little bit. Everyone's going to wake up to how good Isaiah Joe is and whatever, and they got a boatload of draft picks. They can't use all of them. You only got 17, 18 roster spots. You're going to have a whole bunch of rookies. And the problem is, at some point, you have too many draft picks. And you have drafts where you've loaded up with 5 first-round picks. Okay, good luck.
You got all these Ferraris and Porsches. You can't drive all of these. Hand over the keys, man. Let me get
exactly.
They're gonna go get Larry Markkinen, man. We cool.
But that's my point. You're gonna have to part these trades. You're gonna have to part these pieces out. And I understand the concept of like first round picks are valuable, but at some point you have so many that another team is like, I know you got to get rid of these. I know you got to get rid of them. You can't use 5. So I'm gonna pay you a little bit less. Because you're desperate to get rid of it, and everybody is connected. So I don't know, man. I don't think this is their year. I didn't feel like it was their year coming in, but I've been very impressed with the OKC Thunder. I think they have competed really hard. They're not beating themselves in these games. That much I will tell you. And they are working hard, and they're playing the right way, and I think they deserve a lot of credit. But I still think they're going to lose.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's not a bad thing because they're on the right path.
Playoff scars, man. You need them. Every team that ever, to all these people. And I hate that we're going to run out of time and we're not going to get to talk about this draft lottery because, it's like.
Are you depressed as a Raptors fan?
No, not at all. I mean, it had to convey at some point. It was either going to convey this year or it was going to convey next year. If you keep the pick this year, then you got to go through this whole hell next year. And you might lose number 7, number 8, number 9 next year. And there's a lot of arguments to be made for why it was much better to lose it this year. I don't think this draft is terribly bad, but I will say to all those fans out there who always just say, oh, tear it down, break it apart, whatever. What is the end goal? The end goal is to win. You got to start the process of winning at some point. And it starts with taking a loss like this. You got to build up those scars.
What you doing tomorrow?
What am I doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you want to come on and talk about the draft lottery?
We definitely could. I've studied it extensively. I mean, especially the prospects.
All right. So tomorrow we'll come on and you could tell Mars who they need to take at number 3 because he doesn't understand that they need Reed Shepherd.
Mars, who is your guy?
Reed Shepherd at 3. You lost your. If we take Reed Shepherd, I'm a permanent OKC fan. If we take Reed Shepherd at 3, I'm a permanent OKC.
Are you out, Mars? Are you out?
Permanently.
The number 3 overall pick.
Who do you want?
The Houston Rockets select.
If we're gonna go for
Reed Shepherd out of Kentucky,
we're going for a shooter, we have to trade down. There is no way I'm happy with Reed Shepherd at 3. Trade down to 7, 8, 9, something. Go get Reed Shepherd, Dalton Connect.
I like.
I don't know where Risa Shea gonna be available. If you want to shoot her on the wing, you get Risa Shea. Reed Shepherd at 3 is criminal. In my opinion, you take best player available. I want Ron Holland. I know he can't shoot. I don't care.
We
get Ron Holland.
We can
get Ron Holland or trade down if you want a big. Get Donovan Clingan. Don't take.
How would you feel about Stephon Castle
at 3?
No, maybe you talking trading down. Go down to 5.
I think Ime and I think Houston would like him a lot. I don't think he's a point guard, but I think Ime would like him a lot. His defense, his ability to guard 1, 3 might be pushed. 1 through 3. I'll say 1 through 3. Why not?
Are you sold on Jalen Green as your future at the 2, or are you like leaning more towards Amen Thompson, and you think they can play together? Because I'm like, I like Jabari Smith.
I think Amen's a wing. I'll say that. I think Amen's a wing. I don't think he's a guard, but we'll see if he comes into next.
Okay, but I mean, like I don't think Şengün and Jokic, this whole thing is necessarily, but they are adjacent. So
yeah,
when you're playing a big who can play make the way Şengün can, I believe the need for a prototypical point guard is somewhat diminished, which is why a team like Sacramento can get away with a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who may be more of a combo guard than a traditional point guard, and why Denver can get away without playing a single point guard, but they have Jamal Murray, who's point-ish, and they have you just need enough creation around them, and I feel like Amen plus, you know what I mean, like Amen plus Şengün plus Jabari, you have the potential to be one of the biggest teams in the league.
Plus Tari Eason. Plus
you got Cam Whitmore. That's massive athleticism. I feel like you got Jalen Green in there. Maybe that's screwing that up a little bit.
You think he's the one that doesn't fit?
I feel like if Amen Thompson becomes what I think he's going to become, I mean, maybe some of that isolation scoring gets replaced too. He hasn't been very good defensively. So I'm just saying, like, long-term thinking, I think Houston is probably in a better space than 90% of the NBA in terms of their pick situation, youth, etc. And Ime Udoka getting all that development out of these young players. And I think just adding the third pick, I'm looking at Nikola Topic as a
Fellas, we do got to move on. though. We have to move on because I got to get to these.
We got to talk draft tomorrow.
Tomorrow we'll get into it. We'll get into it tomorrow.
Oh, 1000%. I can't wait.
MP13 said a question of combining individual talent compared to pieces that complement each other. If you surround Jokic with players that complement him, but they are journeymen, does that raise the validity of a ring with that team?
For the masses, it does. So a ring, people judge teams by their talent on paper more than the fit.
Bro, he was carrying Will Barton.
Oh yeah,
and
then he got crucified for not being able to win.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, who was Bruce Brown without Jokic? Who was he in Indiana? Who's he been for Toronto? He's been a bum. Straight up.
Yeah,
he's been a bum.
Because I've hated everything I've seen from him.
He's a bum. He's straight up a bum. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. You play with Jokic, you get the Jokic effect. He makes you better. And you're not that guy when you're not playing with him anymore because you're not getting those same looks. You're not getting the same cuts. You're not getting the same angles. You're not wide open anymore.
Yeah, for me, fit is always over talent. Like, you need talented players who fit. Like, I'm not saying you just go out and get some bums, but if you have players who fit, who aren't necessarily all-star talents, I think that's better than getting a bunch of all-stars who don't fit every time. But the all-star team that doesn't fit, when they lose, they're going to get crucified.
But that's the whole thing about a real superstar, like a real superstar. If they play healthy full year, they're worth way more than the Supermax. That's why it kind of sucks to pay a guy like Jaylen Brown or Darius Garland all that money because those guys aren't quite worth what they're worth. But you take a guy like Jokic and you pay him $50 million, he's worth 100. Maybe he's worth 120.
We're saying that now about Joker in year 9 when we've seen basically the finished product. I mean,
we've been saying it for 4 years, man.
But even if that's true, I mean, Darius Garland made the All-Star team in his second year, so that's the reason why they paid him. They paid him off the strength. Was it second or third, Mars?
I'm confident it was third, but I'm gonna check just so I don't say stupid.
I'm pretty sure it was third, but nevertheless, like he's one of the youngest All-Stars ever. Right, but that's 1 year.
But and then Donovan Mitchell shows up, and then now his role is reduced, and then now he's got to play a different way, as opposed to when they were building that group, the way that they were building that team around him and around Evan Mobley and around those young guys. We might see a different Darius Garland in year 8 or year 9 than we see than the trajectory looks right now.
You're not going to see
what I'm saying is
we got to say that,
Mars. I'm not saying that, Mars.
Fellas, we got to move on. We got too many super chats.
Yes, sir.
Duce Rhodes said, I don't know who is more of a front runner, Ron or Hallie.
Ron is not
#,
a front runner. Ron been
fair weather fan.
Ron been
Ron not a front runner. He been saying 10 toes. Yeah. He was willing to go down with the ship. Now the ship is floating right now. So
he been yapping.
I do want to say this. Don't ever disrespect Hallie like that. All right. I 100% am a bigger front runner than Hallie.
Look at him defending Hallie, man. That's not front runner. Nice.
Your Highness Charles said, when has MSG been this daunting arena? Historically speaking, it's been the place where opposing fans come to put on a show. The Knicks are a joke.
He means opposing players.
That's what he means.
I've never been, so I don't.
But they want to put on a show for a reason, right?
Your Highness Charles also said, Chilltown, what MSG aura are you talking about, bro? This isn't Yankee Stadium or Foxborough or Oracle. The Knicks are a doormat franchise. Be serious.
Well, not this year.
Hey, and the Knicks is tough.
Yeah, they haven't been a doormat this year.
It's Damn Zay said Penn had a good remark. What would the matchup look like this year if it was 1 through 16?
Well, we don't know because we'd have to change the schedule. So every team would play each other 3 times. So I don't know who would be the number 1 seed if the Celtics had to play the West 3 times a year instead of 2.
I'm confident to say at least 10 or 11 of the teams would have been Western Conference teams, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
We're definitely going to do that, though. At some point this summer, we'll do the bracket, the 1 through 16, and we'll go through everything, give our predictions on what we think will happen, and yada, yada, yada. But just ultimately see what it would look like. Obviously, each team doesn't play each other 3 times, but
fact or fiction, Pelicans are the second best team in the Eastern Conference if they play the Eastern Conference this year.
Oh, I said every team that was in the West.
Zion, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, all of it. Dyson Daniels, all of it.
1 through 10, in my opinion, would have been a top 3 seed in the East. Every team that was 1 through 10 in the West would have been a top 2 seed.
That's the point.
he said Ticket said Jokic wouldn't play well in the 90s and used the first 2 games of the series to solidify his claim. What an overreaction. Hashtag mile high basketball.
Ron said he would average 19, 9, and 6 in the 90s.
But that's crazy.
Wow. That's not bad.
He definitely
9 and 6.
He would definitely be a double-double guy, Ron. You crazy.
All right, 19, 10, and 6. My bad.
He would definitely
hold on. What does
he
that
average fewer rebounds than Antonio Davis? What are we talking about?
What did Hakeem average in the 90s?
24, 13, and almost 4 blocks. He's not close to Olajuwon. No.
So,
as what? As a defender? No. As an offensive player?
As an offensive player, I'll give you that.
12 and 6.
I'll get
this man scoring 20 points a game.
It's not bad, Mark.
He's bigger than Olajuwon.
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah, he is.
So is David Robinson.
Yeah, you know what?
So was Ewing too.
Clip it.
And so was Shaq.
The tribe one said the difference with the Nuggets is Jamal. Him not tanking the team, or him not taking the team, or tanking the team and being the second best player like he's supposed to is huge. Nuggets in 7.
No,
if players do their job, it makes it harder to beat a team.
Yes, it is. Right. Way harder.
Kevin Rio said, loving Pensare on these lives.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm pronouncing it right, Pensare?
Yeah. You got it. You are you Italian?
Ron normally can't read, so I'm shocked.
I've spent some time over in,
You from Napoli? Okay, I like it. You from Sicily? All right, I like it. You making some pizzas up in there?
Where can the people find you?
Me?
Yeah,
on the internet.
Where?
Nice.
Bro, at Pensare Basketball. Just PENSARE Basketball. Just one word. We're edging closer to 10,000 subscribers. So I'll just give that shout out. Go give us a shout out, especially if you like the Denver Nuggets. Go give us a follow. We do post games after every single live. I mean, after every single game, we do post games. And if you like the Indiana Pacers, do not give me a subscribe, because you be just hating up in my chat.
Taking mine back right now.
LaRon just unsubscribing right now.
Perfect. It's Mr. GQ to you said, yo, Ron, next time you see Ox, tell him they not hard enough. They knuckles not scarred enough. Denver.
Denver's a solid team.
Wolves not hard enough. Their knuckles not scarred enough. They ain't in foreign cars enough. Big fan Breezy. He's been a member for 10 months. He said, I'm rooting for the Pacers because they a fellow ABA team. The Pacers might have the best bench in the playoffs. New York Knicks running out of gas? ? Brunson tired?
They look tired, but we'll see how they look in Game 5.
They rested. It's different.
All right. Hey, we'll see. We'll see come Wednesday. Jay Got Game said, thanks, panel, not Ron. As a Knicks fan, this helped. Oh, y'all helped them cope and get through. Okay. Your Highness Charles said, what is the great Knicks history we talk of?
They haven't won a championship since the Alley Bomb.
They made it to the second round in 2013.
Last year they made it to the second round.
Yeah, but we don't care about it. With Carmelo in them.
We made it to the finals with Allen Houston, then he signed my basketball. I sleep with it every single night. No, I'm just kidding. But it is around.
Your Highness Charles said, chill. I'll drop off some tissue for your tears.
I don't know what that means, but I think we're talking about the Knicks.
Your Highness Charles said, what is scary about MSG? They always lose.
This man Ron's never read so many $2 super chats and they're all from one guy. What the hell?
Your Highness Charles said, Knicks are the Browns of the NBA. Your Highness Charles said, ooh, finally a competent season in 25 years. Laughing emoji.
I've never seen someone stretch a $20 allowance this far. That's
awesome.
I love it. I love it. It all adds up.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate it.
Mello Williams said, point Aaron Gordon was a different look.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Logan Messiah said, Mavs winning and Luka hasn't even been healthy.
He's not going to get healthy if he keeps playing, so don't worry. OKC in 6. You're going to let Luka get rest at home.
MW sent through a super chat and it was blank. But appreciate you,
Thanks,
MW.
brother.
Thank you. DQ said Pacers, baby. I can relate. Sean S said, Ant has that Mamba mentality. Anything can happen. Melo Williams also said that 8-point swing was huge before the half.
Oh, that was insane.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was insane. And they won by 8. So
Sean S said Jokic is to Denver what Tim Duncan was to San Antonio.
I can get with that.
Minus that defense.
Reggie Red said, if you were teetering, the Sabonis take killed it. Sean S also said, y'all based your K take on the hypotheticals, though.
Who is y'all?
He's talking about you guys who are talking about, not Penn. He's talking about everyone else. I'm fine with using hypotheticals. I don't think anything he said is crazy. I just haven't watched Arvidas Sabonis to have an opinion. I don't really care about lists, to be honest. Everyone's listed their own. And I agree with hypotheticals. I've been pushing that KG agenda for a while.
Truth.
I'm not blaming him for that.
Truth be told, I talked a lot of shit about Cato last time I was on here, and then I went back and I was like, yo, I took a month and a half off of watching basketball because I run a film festival in Canada.
Yep.
And I didn't watch Cade that month and a half, and he turned his whole season around that month and a half. So I'm like, shit. I look back and I'm like, I said this guy's not making middies, and then the month after he's like making middies next to it. I'm like, oh shit. And then I went and watched a couple of games, and I was like, yeah, no wonder people are telling me I'm a clown. So it's good to stand, you know, it's good to just own up to something and just say, yeah, he did make a lot. I still don't think he's the best player in that draft class. I don't think he's a top 5 player in that draft class, and I'll stand on that too. I don't think he's better than Franz, Scotty, Evan Mobley.
I seen you list the 21 draft class. Someone showed me something on you on Twitter. You listed the 21 draft class as the Barnes, Mobley, Trey Murphy draft.
Yeah, I should have put Alperen Şengün there, but his name wouldn't fit in. I would have put AS.
Not that he's got Moss. It's just that his name wouldn't fit in.
Because I saw Cade wasn't there. I was like, I expect that from my experiences, but no Şengün. I see Trey Murphy. I was like,
honestly, it was a little bit manipulative because I wanted people to pick that as the worst draft class to prove a point. And my point was, don't listen to draft experts, because we were told that draft class was going to be 2003 all over again, and we were told Paolo's draft class was weak as fuck, and we were told 2020 was weak with Ant. And look at what 2020 has produced. It produced Halliburton. It produced Tyrese Maxey. It produced Anthony Edwards. Like, these are 3 of the 12 best players in the playoffs this year. The draft just happened 3 years ago.
About this draft being a weak draft. They say
no,
that about
this one you
draft.
you should buy the draft.
This is what I'm saying though, and we do got to move on. But they say that about every draft. They say, "Oh, this is the best draft since yada yada yada," or "This is the worst draft that we've seen in the last 15 years." They say it.
This might be the worst draft.
This one they've been saying it for like 2 years though. They've been saying it's bad.
This is when GMs earn their money.
I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to the Hawks for getting the first pick because they're gonna take Alex Sarr. The rest of the draft it's not. You're not getting stars, in my opinion. Maybe like 3.
I think there's 2 stars. I do think there's 2 stars, and I don't think one of them is Alex Sarr.
And we'll get into this tomorrow a little bit more. But Mr. Aboriginal said, "Chill can now put some respect on Kyrie's defense. Can you now put some respect on Kyrie's defense?"
I can put some respect on his effort more than anything. I can definitely do that. Yes.
All right, y'all. It's been a good show. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, especially everybody that was here from beginning to end. I do have 2 more super chats from, well, you guessed it, Your Highness Charles. He said the real Garden is Boston. We hang banners.
Could have known this guy was a Celtics fan. I should have known it.
And then he said Rudy Gobert trade proving why it was wrong.
Garbage. Okay. Garbage. Trash.
It was a good trade.
Trash.
We will be back tomorrow, and we need answers from Ticket TV. So we'll get to that right from the beginning. Y'all, have a good day. Tap into these games. Catch us on playback, and we'll tap back in tomorrow with an even better show.
Later.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Later. Absolutely.